Because you've got powerful legs. How did you get the physique? Was it gym or how did you get the physique?
I've always been...
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump! You know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everybody, to the 542nd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Matt DiGianardo. With me today, Steve Wellings, Andy Patterson. We are found on, the iTunes and the Spotify and the YouTubes. And we're part of the Sports Social Network. Worst decision they ever made, but we're just proud to be part of the team.
Can't get rid of us now.
Oh, you're stuck. You're stuck with us. Much like we were stuck defending the rest of the world, but that's another conversation for another day. Well, here we are, the day after a Canelo fight. We said the undercard was going to be fire. Well, don't be sad, because 2 out of 3 ain't bad. But let's get to the main event first. Going 12 rounds, disappointing me and many others, but Canelo Alvarez getting a wide decision victory over Jermell Charlo. In a fight, when it was first announced, I thought this was stupid. Started warming up to it, and then I remembered I still thought it was stupid, but the undercard was very, very well matched, so went with it. Charlo getting dropped in the 7th round, maybe picking up a couple of rounds here and there. Just kept in place by Canelo's power shots. Hands kept it home more often than not. He didn't do much there. And Steve, he said after the fight that he dared to be great. And I would argue, no, you dared to sign a contract, but you didn't dare to be great. He looked a little flabby, I don't know. Well, I wasn't impressed with Charlo much whatsoever last night. I thought Canelo looked good, probably the best he's looked in about a year.
Yeah, it's interesting, Matty. You actually pick up on something I had written on my little pad of notes as well there, actually, about Charlo's post-fight comments. He touched some of the modern sound bites, as you mentioned there. I was daring to be great, he said. A friend of the pod, Declan Graffin, picked up on that one as well. We now know that daring to be great means you accept the fight, and that's enough. You don't actually have to win it or even be competitive. As long as you accept the fight, you are daring to be great. And also, this is yet another Derek James fighter who went on to say, in fact, I think this is the first thing he said when Jim Gray put the mic in his face, that wasn't me in there. He said that straight after the bout, if you listen. Frank Martin also said that. Errol Spence, well, he could hardly string a sentence together by the time he'd finished against Crawford, but he also said something as well, both after bad performances or defeat. So that must be the official party line from that gym at the moment, or there's no urgency whatsoever. I'm not really sure what Derek James is doing in the dressing room before fights. They must be burning incense candles or something, or playing whale music, because these fighters are coming out absolutely comatose, and it's showing in the ring as well. It was the weakest display of Charlo's career. I don't think he carried the weight very well. He looked slow and reluctant. He said again afterwards in the post-fight that he came in at 173 pounds.
Well, as soon as I saw him come in at over 167 at the weigh-in, Steve, I'm like, is this guy stupid? The one thing that you definitely have in this fight is the speed advantage. Use it the most that you can. And he's got those 154-pound belts down there still, and you want to bring yourself that far up? I don't know. I would have rather seen him 162, 163, a little bit firmer in the stomach. That's just me.
Yeah. No, there seemed to be some confliction over that from what I was reading beforehand. He wanted to come in heavier. Derek James' advice was to come in lighter, as you say, for speed, which I would have thought so as well. It reeked of a man showing up for a payday, knowing that he had nothing to lose and he could go back down again. If Charlo was going to have a chance, there were a number of things that he had to do or avoid doing in order to have success, I thought. So one of them was backing up onto the ropes. None of that, please. We saw against Castano what happened. The jab had to come out nice and strong and firm. He was neglecting the jab or only throwing one jab at a time. He was circling constantly, moving out of range. Every time Canelo threw a flurry of shots, Charlo's instincts were just to avoid them and leap in and grab hold of him. I don't know whether he had a plan or not. That said, Canelo played a big part in it as well. The body shots were thudding, especially the left hand. They were working for him. He was loading up at times. This is this new version of Canelo who tends to do that, hitting arms, gloves, pushing the glove in the face, hitting the hips and the pelvis or whichever kind of region he could hit.
He's a low output, hard pressure fighter. His pressure isn't with his hands, it's with his feet. He is pretty damn good at cutting off the ring more often than not, too. I mean, he might not always be throwing punches, but he's usually in a place where he can if he wants to.
Yeah, well, you would think then, that case, that strategy, those tactics would lead him to gas later in fights. And that was when I thought that Charlo might come in, but there was nothing to deter Canelo from stepping inside. As I said, the jab, the power shots, the uppercut. He tried the uppercut a couple of times. I thought it might be there for Charlo. He couldn't land it. He was afraid to throw it. And Canelo dictated the range, as you said, Matty, the terms, when and where they were going to fight. Unless you have the Floyd type of accuracy and precision against the green version of Canelo, you've got to outwork him. You've got to outbusy him. We saw Bivol do that. We've seen other fighters do that at times. Charlo was not active enough for that approach. And afterwards, he was calling out Terence Crawford and all. It was the most animated I've seen him all night, calling out Crawford. He's setting himself up for another fall, trying to motivate the crowd and all. He'd get absolutely blasted. His power didn't carry at all. Nothing he landed all night bothered Canelo. He was never the biggest puncher, I don't think, at 154. If you remember at 154, against the likes of Harris and Castano, most of Charlo's joy came from catching opponents with flush shots that they didn't see coming, which is a skill in itself and down to good timing, but Canelo wasn't present for those kind of shots. He wasn't leaving himself open. So Charlo was throwing these kind of keep me off, fly squatter shots. He didn't want to open up for that reason. He would have got countered and hurt. And also for Canelo, just before I forget my train of thought, he's got 2 fights left now, as far as I'm aware, on this Showtime deal. This fight was a waste of time. We learnt absolutely nothing at all. Hopefully he's going to fight Benavidez next, because people are calling for that. And Canelo is the kind of guy, Matty, who reacts to fan pressure. And the pressure's mounting on him now to fight Benavidez, I think. And once the Mexicans start saying, this is the fight we want to see, you'd think it would be in Canelo's interest to fight Benavidez sooner rather than later. Because the way he waited out Golovkin, I was thinking about this earlier, he aged him off and then picked him off when Golovkin was near 40 years old. But Benavidez is only conceivably getting stronger, unless you factor in the struggles to make 168.
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's beneficial for him to push that fight as long as he can. So if this is a 3-fight deal, I'd be looking at September next year if I was Canelo. I mean, that little extra bit of time, I think it matters in this case, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering about that because I was thinking, well, Golovkin, it's the age. Benavidez is only going to get stronger unless the weight is cutting into him. So we're assuming now Andrade's going to fight Benavidez, the winner of that. Hopefully we'll fight Canelo. If Benavidez fought Canelo and Cinco de Mayo, that would be absolutely outstanding. But Jim Gray pretty much threw that out. Canelo agreed that it's going to be the 5th of May next time he's going to fight, which is a bit depressing, really. We're going to have to wait another 7 months to see him fight again. And then it might be a dud opponent. You know, we just don't know. And I wonder, just finally, Matty, sorry, before I let Andy in, if Jamel's pitiful display might have hopefully put the dampeners on a Jamal fight next from a selling perspective, because I thought out the two, I was warming to the fact that Jamel probably had a better chance of springing the upset. If you're going to put Jamal in there now, I don't think he's got any chance, so might be a bit of a hard sell, that one.
No, I mean, it could very well be a hard sell. I think what's kind of funny is Charlo thinking he's also just going to walk into a Crawford fight too. Crawford kind of laughing at that prospect afterwards. He was looking at the winner of this fight. I don't know if he gets it or not, but I think Crawford would at least give a good showing. I'm not saying, win, lose, or draw, whatever might happen on that one, but I actually think he would try. But Andy, not to skip too far down, but I know you're kind of getting a little bit in yourself right now as you're watching on the side here. You got Charlo, who had a size and reach advantage over Canelo, and on the undercard you also had Mario Barrios, who had a size and reach advantage over an opponent. And I'll tell you what, man, the way that Barrios used that stick, that's how you control distance as the taller fighter. You know where that threshold is, and when the opponent's head comes across it, you snap that jab and you snap it hard. You don't do this pussy pawn shit with it because they're going to walk right through you. And Canelo had nothing to worry about. There was no snap to anything that Charlo was doing. I think those two fights provided a good contrast on how you fight as a big man, do's and don'ts.
Yeah, you're right there, mate. I mean, I've actually got the Barrios Ugas fight on just now, so I haven't been able to catch up with the entire card yet. But obviously, dropping Ugas on a great jab as well in the second round just goes to show that if Charlo had just basically committed to it a little bit, it might have been a wee bit different. But at the same time, firstly, I'll just mention the DAZN broadcast, which I watched on. Actually, I missed the total of the third round and half of the fourth because it cut out. Same happened in the Ugas fight here. I missed the third round in that as well. So I don't know. You mentioned there, for example, you gave Charlo maybe 2 rounds. So I don't know what rounds you gave him. I don't know if it was the third round because I've missed it. So absolute shitfest there. You got Donald McRae on Twitter complaining about it as well. The fight itself was complete trash. Charlo felt the power early doors, in my opinion. And Charlo just went right into his shell. And Steve mentioned that he circled that ring the best part of the entire night. He knew if he opened up, he was getting touched up and he was going to get stopped eventually. I mean, he was taking at least 1 or 2 heavy flush shots per round at one point. Now, you've seen it on the kind of slow motion replays. Those were big shots, the uppercuts, the left hooks, the right hands. He had nothing. He'd done nothing. Okay, maybe he had a couple of digs here and there and that, but it was just nothing, mate. First round is nothing as well. A lot of movement. There wasn't really a lot of output. You probably give it to Canelo for maybe pushing it in the kind of latter half of the first round. Starts more aggressive around about the second, and Charlo's probably, I think he's around about the 5th round possibly. I've maybe marked up here that he's probably landing something more meaningful for the first time. It was a kind of like a potential combo. But he didn't do much. He was Canelo was never worried. He was just not worried about what was coming back, and Charlo was completely shitting his pants. 100%, in my opinion. He was worried about the speed and the counter of Canelo, and plus the power of those counter punches and that as well. Taking the knee, obviously he got badly rattled there. I mean, that was a great 2 right hands. I think it was a right hand and a right uppercut that Canelo landed in the 7th round that forced him to take that knee. So again, as I say, I just think he's tasted the power early doors. Then you've got him getting dropped there in the 7th round, and he's just decided that I'm going to have to try and survive here. Canelo, as I say, wasn't bothered, but Charlo threw at him. And if Charlo, as I say, if he attempted to win, Canelo would have got to him, stopped him pretty brutally. So in the end, as a spectacle, awful, didn't deliver, and Charlo, okay, stepped up in weight, tried, I suppose, but again, as I say, he's come up there too far. He knows himself, landing those punches at 154 is completely different to landing on a guy who is like a legit middleweight, super middleweight at this point in his career. And as I say, Canelo's a stocky guy, teak tough, can take a shot, and again, it proved, as I say, he had nothing to worry about. One thing I picked up in the broadcast, I forget who it was on the DAZN one, saying that Charlo's sticking and moving. As you mentioned there, Charlo wasn't even sticking, man. He wasn't even putting that jab out there properly. That was basically kind of trying to keep the distance, trying to keep out of harm's way as for as long as possible, then tie up when he had to.
He was pawing and jogging.
Yeah, even when he had a chance to try and unload some shots, he wasn't really fully committal. And some of those shots maybe scuffing Canelo's guard, or maybe the top of his head or whatever, and that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing did he kind of step into. Again, it's just, I suppose the best thing to say here really is Canelo's turned the only line in the Charlos into Jermel, into basically a cub. Jermel's is the non-line of the family. And that's what fucking Canelo did to Jamal there last night. Actually, turned him into his brother. Turned him into, like, he didn't want to fight, didn't want to taste it anymore, didn't want it. So I agree with the situation with regards to Benavidez. I entirely agree. Canelo's going to try and kick that can down the road, and I think it will be a third fight to deal with that as well. Probably this time next year he fights Benavidez. Who he fights the interim period, that I do not know. But it's, again, as I said last night, that was just awful.
Yeah, it is generally awful. I tell you, there's Steve, I just man, there's something fucking wrong with the Charlo brothers. That's the basic of it. Like, they stay out of the ring for a long time. They're always out screwing around. They've got problems with each other. I think everybody remembers that video before the Spence Crawford fight between the two women, and they thought one was involved with Crawford. No, that was one of the Charlo's wives fighting the other Charlo's girlfriend. And so, well, you look at it like, and you're worried about Canelo, saying, we're not going to see him until May of next year. Well, we haven't seen Jamal Charlo in the ring since June of 2021.
Good. I don't want to see them.
In that time, Canelo has fought Plant, Bivol, Golovkin, Ryder, and Charlo. So he had 5 fights in that time, and he fought, a month before it. So basically, in that same fight, in that same period, Maul has fought 1 fight, and Canelo has fought a half dozen.
Did Charlo he had a hand problem, though, didn't he?
That was Jamel.
He's got
He's
got mental health problems, and the WBC is siding with him in his fight against whatever mental health.
He's fighting with
is.
his missus, isn't he? Isn't that the problem? And
That's
custody of the children.
So is that divorce and all that? Like,
yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and he's chose a bad woman, and it's a shame. So you got one holding the belt hostage there. You wonder how long it's going to be until Mel goes back and fights at 154 again. I wouldn't doubt if we don't see him for another year, probably.
Oh, easily.
And the WBO has now said that Zoo is full champion, so that fight with Mendoza is going to be, for an actual belt. So I guess, Steve, the question is: do you think Jermel's going to go ahead and try to reunify the division down there? Do you think maybe they will be able to swing the Crawford fight? What's next for this guy? I feel like he's going to be going off the edge of a cliff now. He kind of made that big money, and I just don't see the desire in him or his brother.
Yeah. I don't see him. He talked about 154. I'd say he'd probably be looking for a catch weight against Crawford, or maybe going to middleweight or something like that. I don't think it'd be in his interests to go back down and try and defend the belts or win them back if they've been split by that point. As you said, with all the money and things he's achieved and whatever, I don't think he'd want to do that. He'd be looking for these kind of fights, the Canelo fight, which he's already had, obviously the Crawford fight, etc. And because of the inactivity, which is rife within the PBC, as I've spoken about over recent years, they just don't fight often enough. So he could come back conceivably in 18 months' time and fight Crawford and then come back and drop the belts in the meantime. As long as they drop the belts, that's the main thing. You mentioned about Jamal. If Jamal was off doing whatever he's doing and his belt was back in circulation and people were able to fight for it, then that'd be fine. Let him go off and do what he wants to do with the wife and sort all that out. But the fact that they're holding the belt hostage in the meantime is the problem for me. They can have the carnival fights. They can fight whenever they want or not fight whenever they want, but don't hold the rest of the division hostage. And if the WBC or any other sanctioning bodies are complicit in that, that's when I have an issue. I'll not go into this because I know it's a black hole. I'm just saying about Fury fighting Ngannou, which obviously now turns out might not be an issue with the Usyk news. But if you want to go off and have carnival fights, that's fine. But let everybody else do the proper fighting while you're at it. And that's the same with the Charlo brothers. But just closing off your point, Matty, absolutely. Jamel, I don't know. I just can't see him. Why would he fight the likes of Zhu? I never thought he fancied that fight. I'm not saying he would have lost to Zhu, but when he hit that cliff and hit that peak, and then you've got the money, the Canelo money come in, and the chance of fighting guys like Crawford, it's hard to get up for people like Zhu, who's hungry and young, and where Charlo was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's hard to get up for those fights. So I think when beating Zhu, people go, yeah, whatever, you've just beaten Tim Zhu. We didn't know who he was anyway. He's only an up-and-comer. But you might have to go life and death against, a tough, hungry, young fighter. And why would Charlo bother doing that from his perspective? So, yeah, long way about. I don't know what they'll do. But one thing you said is correct. We'll not see them again for a while because Looks like the PBC's on Skid Row. Showtime's closing up. Someone in the chat said about maybe they're selling out their stars. Looked like Charlo, as I said before, was in for the payday last night. Good luck to him, but they're pulling the wool over everybody else's eyes in the process.
I've just put an article in the chat there. Actually, just seen something in boxing scene. They're talking about Jamal Charlo fighting fucking Benavidez in November.
Yeah, that's right. On the Andre other Benavidez card.
Benavidez card, aye.
How many weights is Jose Benavidez Jr. going to go up? What would that be at middleweight? Would it or something?
Because he was a welterweight, wasn't he?
Yeah, originally.
I was like, which Benavidez? No, Benavidez is fighting, and he's going to fight twice on his own card. Oh no,
Jose.
the other Benavidez. So he started his career. He might have been 140 when he started, but he set in at 147, lost to Crawford, disappeared for a while, and then he fought Danny Garcia at 154.
Oh, he's up at middleweight now then.
You know, the problem with him is he just, and I think he got shot in his calf or something like that, so it didn't help, but he's just got like the slowest feet ever. It's just, not his brother, definitely. But anyways.
Remember Crawford fucked him up.
Well, yeah, took 12 rounds to do it, but he finally stopped.
Tortured him though.
Yeah, a little bit.
They had the fight at the weigh-in, didn't they?
Aye, Jose was talking trash, man, before the fight and before the weigh-in and after the weigh-in. Crawford's like, all right, okay. Okay, yeah, he fucking Ali Ernie Terrell him, by the way. That's what he done. Fucking carried him and beat the shit out of him.
He's lucky he didn't fucking Emil Griffith him.
Aye, true.
You got to be careful about keeping guys on the hook. You know, the last time I really worried about a fighter being kept on the hook too long out of pure spite was Pascal against Kovalev.
That was quality, man. See the camera actually panned. There's someone actually did an edit. I don't know if it was Ryan Deal, actually, to be fair. Probably was. There was someone that edited the clip. So see when like Canelo, Kovalev actually landed those punches and you got Pascal like staggering over the ring like he's just came out of the pub. And then the camera then edits or cuts right to the daughter crying. And it cuts back to Sergey Kovalev actually pointing to Pascal at the time laughing. Like as if he's actually pointing at the daughter trying to laugh.
He was crying,
it was savage. Proper savage stuff, man. I think it even had like the Jaws music over the top of it and that. Eh? Oh, it was quality.
Oh, that's fucking cold, man. Yeah, that was just one of the meanest fucking fights I've ever seen in my life. There's all these.
He's really fought him, eh? Fought him twice.
Yeah, well, there were all these moments he had where you like could have taken him out, and then he just decided to step back, kind of let him get his bearings back, and then went back on the jab again. It was just
the proper definition
brutal.
of Rocky IV when he says, "I must break you." Aye. That's exactly what he done.
Here, Matty, just a quick one. Johnny there, just have to pick him up on this. He's questioning Vic Glazer's integrity. He says nobody other than Vic Glazer and some other Twitter no mark has reported about Showtime stopping, so I don't believe a word of it. Well, we are big Vic Glazer fans here for all the things he's done over the years in boxing. I think he deserves a bit more respect than that.
His job's integral to the sport, mate.
Absolutely.
Don't know what he does, mind you, but it's integral.
I worry a lot about Showtime. I worry a lot about Showtime boxing collapsing, and I think a lot of it falls onto the Al Heyman purses. I think, you know, even though the Showtime was able to get by for, you know, 7, 8, no, probably almost a decade after HBO boxing closed. But I think you almost needed one for the other. You need that competition.
Spare a moment for Eddie, though, Matty. I mean, Eddie actually, give him credit, he actually predicted this would happen. It just taken 5 years to get there, mind you, but it still happened.
Well, and it's great that he predicted they'll get there, but so you want to prove them right by paying Mikey Garcia $7 million to fight Sandor Martin? You know,
this is also true, mate. This is also true. Who else did you actually spunk money on? You know, Canelo to fight, like say, you know, Yildirim, for example. Don't know how many millions he got for that. 20-odd million, possibly. Callum Smith, waste of time fight. Liam Smith, well, that was under Frank Warren, actually, wasn't it? So, what else?
He fought Plant on there on DAZN. They got him away from PBC for that fight, I think. But yeah, it's all potentially in shambles. But I don't know what's going on. Every time they think boxing is going to die, it keeps on persisting. You know, in its crooked little fucked up way.
It's like COVID. It's always there.
Well, the thing is it's kind of, boxing is kind of like the illicit drug trade. As long as people are able to make money off of it, it's always going to exist.
Yeah, and you get villains running in the background of that as well, so.
Yep, and then you got poor people like us who just want to get fucking high on a Saturday night. That's it. And they got to fuck it up for us, sons of bitches. Speaking of fucking things up, although they didn't fuck up my parlay, I finally hit a 50-1. Shame I didn't put more money on it, but fuck it, we're back in the game, baby. The judges in Ramos versus Luben saw a totally different fight than the one that I watched, as I basically had kissed my money goodbye. Thank you, Steve. As I watched round by round go through, and then around the 9th, Ramos just kind of stopped. Jesus Ramos, you just kind of stopped, kind of like De La Hoya Trinidad-y. Not as much running, but nonetheless. And scores get announced, and the last one is a 117-111. So I think, well, surely it's got to be for Ramos, because I thought it was 115-113.
I thought that too. Yep.
At best. And then lo and behold, they announced the winner as Erickson Luben of just a fucking daylight robbery. Good God. I think maybe based on his jab, if you're not a huge body punch scorer, which I was kind of thinking in my head, oh, you never know. Because that was basically the difference in the punch stats. Luben's jab was good. And maybe they snuck a couple of those early rounds to him. But I thought maybe at a push, the draw might have came into play. But Steve, I never thought there was any way in hell that Luben got those scores. But lo and fucking behold, he did.
Yeah, well, you were mentioning De La Hoya there. I don't think Ramos's movement was as egregious as De La Hoya's against Trinidad, but that was the fight that came to my mind as well, funnily enough. Just someone giving away those final rounds and making it close, or on some of the cards, he didn't even have to make it close. It did occur to me before the 10th round, whenever the Ramos call, man, they were so relaxed. I was like, oh, this is great. Yeah, they're having a lovely time there. They were telling their man, you're boxing lovely, stay disciplined. And I thought to myself, this is boxing, man. You know what? This might be a little bit closer than we think. You just never know. And the way I look at it is, I was thinking to myself after the scores, is there something that I missed? Is there somebody out there who's thinking, of course, Luben won the fight? Is this my problem? Because we go by the commentary, don't we? The commentary team, they're a very useful barometer. And there's 3 people all there, and maybe they're afraid to disagree with each other. And Steve Farhood thrown in a scorecard, which was only 116, 112 in the end. So it's only 8 rounds to 4. It's not completely out the realms of possibility that Luben possibly could have got a draw, or winning the fight, you go in the 3-round swing by that point. But I thought to myself, Kevin Cunningham's reactions was a thing for me. They were very telling in the Luben corner. He was pissed off the whole fight. He was increasingly irate as it went on at Luben's kind of laissez-faire approach and his attitude. He had his fighter way behind. What are you doing? You're not throwing this in shots. You're letting this fight slip away from you round after round after round. And obviously he'll say afterwards, oh, I was only trying to pump him up, keep him motivated and all that. I always thought he was ahead. He knew his fighter was not winning that fight. You could tell by Cunningham. But the fact that Ramos stepped off and let him come into it, I don't know. Luben did turn up the heat down the stretch from 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 4 rounds for you. You give him the first round, all of a sudden things start to tighten up a bit. Ramos afterwards, bit like Charlo, took his defeat surprisingly well. Don't know whether he was smashing things up in the change rooms afterwards, but he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn from this. I hope he does. This could be the best thing that ever happens to Ramos, because we've seen this in the past, using his size and his jab, stepping off against guys, letting people see the distance out who maybe shouldn't have done. So I hope this makes him into more of a killer in the future, because he's definitely got a big future. He's a big unit. He puts his shots together nicely. I hope this puts the firework up his arse now to say, I cannot coast down the stretch, and his corner team as well. I've got to come out and finish off this fight. But as I said before, Kevin Cunningham's reactions told you all you needed to know. He damn well knew that Luben wasn't winning that fight. And you could say as well, Matty, just occurred to me, okay, Ramos took his foot off the gas, but what was Luben really doing in return? His jab was working well. But see, from round 2 till about 8, he wasn't landing a damn thing. And Ramos's body shots, as you said, backing him up, hitting him to the body. There was only one man forcing the fight. I don't know what the judges were seeing. You see it on the screen there, 117, 111. It's just bonkers. Get him in again. Luben will probably say, I don't want the rematch. I want a shot. I'm a big player at 154. And fair play to Luben. He's been a good fighter over the years, and he's always come and fought his heart out. So I don't really blame him for the judges' scorecards. But yeah, I'd say Ramos won the fight.
It was a little bit crazy, just looking at these, and you see that in the last 6 rounds of the fight, there were only 4 rounds given in total on what would be 8 in a total of 18 scored rounds between the 3 judges that Ramos won on any of those cards. I mean, that's crazy. Like I thought it was, you could argue that Luben won 9 through 12. But like you get into like saying that, he definitely won 7 and 8. I think that's a little bit crazy. I thought the first probably went, you probably could give that to Luben. So like I said, I thought, like pretty clear rounds, Ramos win about 115, 113 at the closest. But I don't know what the fuck these judges were watching. I mean, they must have really loved Luben's jab. I mean, it was flashy, quick, sharp, but I mean, that's a little bit heavy scoring for that one weapon.
I thought, as they were reading out the scorecards, a bit like yourself, I was kind of thinking about the scores in a Ramos context. It was like Chris Migliori, 115, 113. I thought, that's a bit tight. Yeah, okay. John McKay, 116, 112. Yeah, okay, I could see that. 117, 111. Yeah, pretty much 9 rounds to 3. Doesn't really give Luben much credit, but that's more like the fight. And then they all announced it in Luben's favour. And I was like, okay then. And even Mauro Ranallo, it shut him up for about 5 or 6 seconds. So that was a feat in itself.
I will tell you, Steve, if you're looking for anything, like a little conspiracy theory on this one, I was because I had money on these fights. I was watching the odds kind of all week, seeing what the betting markets were doing, and Luben pretty much all week had stayed better than 3-1. He was got closer to about 7-2, more so at times. And in about the span of an hour or a half an hour before that first bell of their fight, he went down all the way to a 5-2, just a little over 5-2. All sorts of money went in on Luben late. Very interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
So anyhow, you never know what's going on. It is boxing. But let's get further down that undercard. Aforementioned Barrios versus Ugas fight. Which Barrios coming into that one an underdog too, and slowly crept his way up to 2-1 underdog. And man, I had that feeling too, and we were right. There was something about Ugas with that inactivity coming off the Spence fight, the injury coming off the Spence fight, and the idea of Barrios finally filling into that weight. Andy, I know you're sneaking your way through that fight.
Yeah.
Barrios basically took it over about the 6th or 7th round, give or take, and dropped. Don't want to spoil it for you where you're at, but he dropped Ugas in the 12th round.
Yeah, I'm in the 11th.
Yeah, the eye could have stopped that fight at any point too. I think they didn't do him a service, but I thought Barrios looked. He looked as good as he'd looked probably since the first 6 rounds of the Tank Davis fight. A good showing.
Yeah, I mean, he looked awful. Remember at the weigh-in for the Tank fight? Remember we were kind of laughing that both looked like they'd been on the meth for like the last 3 or 4 months the way they were looking. Yeah, I agree. But he's really filled in at this weight actually, and he's looking very solid about it. You mentioned the jab there. I mean, I'm in the 11th round, halfway through the 11th round here. I knew about the 12th round knockdown. And I know he got a point deducted as well for spitting out the mouthpiece. So he's obviously done himself badly on the cards and that, but he's got a face like a bag of spanners here. He's got badly marked up. He's got the nose bleeding. He's got the right eye again. It badly swells up. You've got Stitch Duran using a bag of ice, trying to get it to kind of go down. To me, he just looks like he's a over the hill fighter now. He's washed. I mean, he's mid-30s, longish career and that. But you got to give it to Barrios. I mean, his plan here has been absolutely spot on. Jab, right hand. He's picking his moments. He's no overcommitting. He's stepping back. He's going to be himself a bit more punching room, and he's basically making Ugas bite on every punch as this fight's kind of like wore on here. You're right after like the midway part of the fight. It's been nothing but Barrios. We mentioned the second round knockdown with the jab and that. It was like a shotgun going off, but it was a great shot. The way Ugas goes down, looks like the punch resistance isn't the same. As I mentioned here, this is another beatdown he's been given here. Actually, 12-round beating. Face, as I mentioned there, badly swollen, blood everywhere. Even the doctors in there before the 11th round having a look at him. I really thought they were going to stop it there, actually, considering the state of the eye. Clearly fighting blind there in one eye. So, Yeah, so fair play to Barrios, bet underdog and that, but he's come out there on top. Don't know if it's going to be enough to get him a world title fight anytime soon anyway, but he's got
It's
himself
for the interim
definitely
WBC title, Andy. He kind
so
of won a
for
title
Crawford
in this
possibly.
fight.
Possibly.
Crawford's done at 147. He's all about legacy and big fish.
Oh, there you go. Then his chances he's going to get his full title at some point. But yeah, well, he's done well actually, because that kind of like wrote him off after the Tank fight. But and then obviously he's gone up in weight. You're thinking to yourself, like, once a fighter does that, actually,
Berman did him pretty well too. I mean, he won that 30
but the thing is,
rounds.
When you got a fighter going up in weight, though, you sometimes think, oh well, he's blamed that loss on the weight. I'll just go up in weight. I can't be bothered trying to kind of like kill myself, try and get a wee bit of advantage. Now I'll just go up in weight because it's easier for me. But he's done well there actually. As I say, he's boxed that plan, and he's come through in the end. And as I say, look, you've got at the end of the 11th here actually, you've got Ugas sitting in the corner, face bright red, the lips in that bright red. He's got blood everywhere, man. What a state he's in. This right eye and that as well. Just can't see out of it. So obviously he could easily been stopped. He had no chance of really winning the fight outside of a knockout and that. So what was the point of him kind of like pushing on there for the last couple of rounds there? But
Yeah, no, it was pretty pointless, I thought. So not good for a guy who's almost 40. He's going to be 39 here in a month or two, I think they said. So probably the last we see of Yordanis Ugas, but he's got a win over Manny Pacquiao. He can always hang his hat on that one. Nothing to scoff at, as diminished as Pacquiao was. Now, Steve, as far as Barrios goes, the wise council of nutters put forth a few names that I thought would be interesting fights for him. I don't know that he wins any or all of them, but they're interesting. Those being Boots, Stanionis, and Jamal James, and all those possible under the PBC banner. I think that those are good fights from going forward. Like I said, I don't know if he wins them, but I think he competes, and I'll be interested to see how it turns out for him.
It's hard to know what they're going to do with him now. I know he won as you said, an interim version of the title or something. You'd have to think Boots and Stanionis would be too much for him. Jamal James has operated at a certain level. That would be a excuse me, a kind of 50-50 affair, I'd say, if they put them two together. But I don't know what James is at the moment, whether he's going to come back or not. Barrios started at 122, they were saying on the telecast last night. I don't know how on earth he ever made that kind of weight, but he definitely looks more comfortable carrying a bit. He's back with Bob Santos now. He left him after his 16th fight and linked up with Virgil Hunter. It was a bit of a strange move at the time. It never ever worked out, to be honest. Hunter's just on a string of L's at the moment, only since Andre Ward. It just, I don't know, he had Barrios a bit more face forward, whereas he's boxing off the jab now, using his skills and his fundamentals. But it's hard to know going forward how he's going to look against the better fighters, because unfortunately poor old Ugas isn't one of those guys anymore. He's been a really good servant to the sport, but Ugas just needs to retire for me now. That's the second fight. He fought Spence about 15, 16 months ago, got his eye absolutely busted up, said he couldn't see out of it for 40 hours or something afterwards, absolutely destroyed, swelled up. Again, eye busted up last night. He's going to end up with eye trouble in the future if he's not careful, detached retinas and stuff like that. And for what? He's finished at the highest level. He's, you said he's nearly 39. He's made good money. He's left Cuba. He's in Las Vegas. Got a wife and kids. He's absolutely finished at the highest level. Why campaign any lower than that when you've beaten Pacquiao? You fought Spence. At one point in his career, he had 4 losses, and he looked like he was on the way out. And the PBC, fair play, they stuck with him, came back, had that unfortunate fight with Sean Porter, where we thought he won, ended up causing the upset over Pacquiao, looked really good that night, got his big money fight against Spence, and then got another payday last night. He doesn't need to keep fighting anymore. There's nothing more they can do with him. He's made good money now. He needs to just hang up the gloves, I think, because he's got nothing left to offer at the top level other than getting battered by people and having his eyesight destroyed or not being able to see for his future. So I'll give a shout out to Ugas to retire. And as for Barrios, I think there was a right fight for him, the right style at the right time last night. Whether he'll do anything else against the better guys, I'm not sure, especially the 3 guys you mentioned. I think he'd struggle against at least 2 of them.
Can I just briefly say, Matty, I've just kind of caught up there with the 12-round knockdown, and it just kind of like maybe emphasises my point about being blind in that eye, because he's walked right onto a left hook. You've never seen it coming, walked right on it, got dropped there like a bag of shit. And then Steve says, obviously, I think it's the same eye he got done in against Spence. If he's having problems trying to look at it for like 2 days, he's, as Steve mentioned, he's running a real risk of potentially like going blind in the future. And that is this again? This isn't pretty to look at.
No, I think that fight could have easily had the plug pulled in the 10th or 11th round.
Yeah, Matty, what about that comment on the screen from Wallaby King?
Got good word. Barrios was on some good shit last night, as in
Yale,
Colombian marching powder.
I'm not sure.
The Peruvian pure.
I don't know. Well,
all these faceless boxing channels, get on the call, show us who you are.
I wouldn't be that bothered by like seeing a bunch of people, fighting well on cocaine. We saw like the weed boxing. Why not have cocaine boxing where you got to do a line between rounds? That would be the kind of event that I think could bring in the viewers. Would you watch cocaine boxing, Steve?
See who had the first heart attack.
I barely got enough time to watch real boxing.
That's for misfits, though. That's what the misfits boxing should be. You should get Cali Sutherland as a fucking local dealer walking with a big, massive bing of ching, put it in there like in between rounds, as you say, Mike. Right, boys, have a sniff before each round, and the way you go.
They could do it in Thailand. Was it Thailand that's doing weed boxing, Matty? We were talking about the other day.
And I think maybe extend it to 5-minute rounds, since stamina might not be as much of an issue.
Yeah, and then you have a drugs test at the end, and if you test negative, then you get banned from the sport.
Yeah, no, we all have to be on the same playing field, Steve. We're not cheats in the cocaine boxing league. So, anyhow, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Wallaby King said, no, PEDs, not cocaine. Well, that's not as interesting. We'll find out. Yeah, if you tested positive for the fight, we'll probably know by Christmas, right, Steve?
Yeah, well, he wasn't on a Matchroom show, so the testing probably won't catch him. But yeah, we'll find out in 3 years' time once he's had a retrospective ban. Although you wouldn't know these days because being out of the ring for 3 years is pretty much par for the course.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened to Charlo. Maybe they just he's on a drugs ban, but they thought like he was like Michael Jordan. You can't admit he was gambling or anything. So just
in all seriousness, I'd say there's probably many cases going on in the sport at the moment where people have been out. And it's because they've been inactive. That we think they've been inactive or can't get a fight or they're injured or whatever, and they've been serving a ban or something like that.
I wouldn't doubt that entirely. Such an interesting sport. If it's, you got to wonder, what would boxing quietly self-police itself? What I just don't know if
we've got Matchroom doing in-house drug testing.
How could that go wrong? There could never be any bias. They're there to protect the fighters, and that is
everybody's against drugs in boxing. Everybody is. Nobody wants to see drugs in boxing until somebody gets popped, and then the first reaction is to rally around them, threaten everybody with lawsuits, try and get them off by the last minutiae that you can, and then back to the next thing. We're all against drugs again. We're against this. This is bad for the sport.
And try and destroy organisations while you're at it, and that as well. Trying to kind of like flex the ego, fuck up the entire sport.
Well, that's why if you just accept the idea that they're all on drugs, you're never disappointed. If they pop, it happens. If they don't pop, onwards we go. Sunrise, sunset.
As Frank Smith says, by the way, about the story about PEDs, it's none of our business, right? Don't need to explain it to us plebs. You get back in your box, you boxing nutters.
We're nothing.
Just you sit down, shut up, and pay your money. I don't need to explain myself.
Joke's on them. We ain't paying no money.
Exactly.
Speak for yourselves, you lucky bastards.
Hey, you want a winner this week, Matty? No bitterness.
Hey, all right. But anyways,
50-1 undefeated.
The place where we really won, though, gentlemen, was for those of us that got to watch the Elijah Garcia Armando Resendez fight, which was an absolutely brutal war until the 8th round. When Resendez went down after Garcia landed a great left-right to the body, then a right hook upstairs combination, flooring him, and then Tony Weeks stepping in when I think Resendez was shockingly able to continue as many shots as he had taken. But hot damn, this is a great war through 8 rounds. I don't know what the young Elijah Garcia's ceiling is, but god damn it, Andy, this guy's going to be fun to watch while it happens.
Yeah, I mean, he was 19 at the time when he beat Amilcar Vidal, and you know, it was a really impressive performance for a 19-year-old kid at the time. I was really impressed by him because you know Vidal was getting a wee bit of a push in that. He had been getting prominent roles on Showtime, and he just got like taken apart. Really enjoyed the fight, I must admit. I know he's only 20-year-old, and obviously a wee bit of youthful exuberance and that. I like to see him maybe just kind of like stop kind of holding his feet too often, maybe just take a wee step back and look at what he's doing in that, because I just thought he just took punches there, or took some punches there last night he just didn't need to take.
Well, what I kind of saw, Andy, on that is it kind of seemed like what Resendez was able to do was get inside and then kind of work him around until he had Garcia squared up, and Garcia didn't even know how he got that way.
Yeah, but then obviously he's staying in the pocket, but then he's getting his own shots off at the same time in that as well, or by way of response, and you could tell he was having the finishing word, especially in the kind of latter half of that fight. The right hook for, I think it was the first knockdown, I think it was brutal, and that was the end of it. A lot to like about the kid, and as I say, 20-year-old. What weight was that at again? Because obviously 20-year-old, he's still
160.
growing.
160. They're shooting to try to get him in a 160 belt.
Yeah, 68 will be his column point in the next couple of years, I'd imagine, once he completely fills out. But there's a lot to like, and plus with him being a southpaw and he can dig, it's going to be problematic. A wee bit like Opetaia in that as well, who we'll get to. But a lot to like about the guy. As for his ceiling, we don't know at this point, obviously, and I didn't want to predict it just now, but he's certainly going to be in hell of a fun fights. And if it comes down to it, I think he'll be one of those kids in that as well. If he's in a war, he's going to go out in the shield in that as well. So it's interesting times. I think it should be quite fun times watching this kid as well. So definitely keep an eye on him.
I'll tell you what, Jose Benavidez moving up. I kind of think that fight's interesting at 160 pounds. I think that has fucking bloodbath written all over it. So yeah. But you know, this you got to be careful, Steve, about taking so many shots to the head and the like. You might have a short shelf life, but there's plenty of time to improve for this kid. He can obviously bang a bit, but fights like this to open up a telecast, and this was a good one by Heyman. Great matchup here. Just total fireworks to kick it off. It kind of died out, obviously, with the Ramos Luben fight, but this was a good affair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get much right these days, but I was saying, to be fair, the last few weeks in the lead up that this was going to be a great fight. I couldn't see anything else because both guys, very leaky defense. As Andy was saying, Elijah Garcia seems to enjoy taking shots, and against the best guys who can punch, that will come a cropper. He had a bit of struggle with Kevin Salgado, who stood off and used the jab and was a bit more negative. He couldn't break him down, but it's hard to look for faults now because this kid's done things the right way. As Andy mentioned, he stepped in to the Showtime to fight Vidal when he was a big puncher, very raw, but Elijah Garcia came from nowhere, really, and said, yeah, I'll take that. He was a father at 16 years of age. He's married the woman as well, and so he's done his responsibilities there, and he just seems very mature. He speaks very well for 19, 20 years of age, and in the ring, he's excitement personified, and it was never going to not be a firework fight between these two guys. Resendez has really improved since he lost to Marcos Hernandez. He hooked up with Manny Robles, he taught him a little bit of defense, I suppose, how to use his offense better against Jared Hurd, who's washed up really at this weight. Resendez looked good. He's slimmed down. He was a bit podgy in the past. He's definitely taking things seriously. And they just went at it, the two of them. It was a fantastic war for as long as it lasted, and a really nice finish. The sort of right hook to the body, left hand, and then the right hook upstairs as well hurt him. And I will slightly take issue with the stoppage. I was the same as you at first. I'm not a Tony Weeks fan at all. I can't stand him. He does my head in. And I was ready to write it down. Trigger happy Weeks jumps in again. But I just watched the replay. And whenever he got up Resendez, he sort of wobbled back into the ropes a bit, and they went back at it, caught a couple more shots. And the way his hips are sort of swaying and his head, he did look like he was hurt. I could actually, to be fair to Weeks, I'll give him his due this time. I could see why he jumped in. And I know it's no measure of a stoppage, but Resendez wasn't really complaining that much. And I think on the balance of things, Weeks probably got this one right because Resendez was going to get his head knocked off. And I love to see a good proper stoppage. So, yeah, Garcia, for as long as this ride lasts, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody's going to be complaining about Weeks like they were in the Raleigh-Barroso fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is like kind of like, maybe you could have let it go on a little bit
longer. I thought that at first, but yeah, I'm not so sure. But either way, yeah.
So, yeah, that was a pretty darn good card there. I was unable to catch the YouTube stuff. in between. But Vostik was able to get another victory on there. Frank Sanchez able to pick up a W as well. Be interesting to see what they might do with Vostik, actually. I think he's still around 175 pounds. And unfortunately, I was trying to watch two things at once, and my brain couldn't handle it, and I just kind of dozed off before the Opetaia fight started. But Andy, I knew going into that fight, and people were kind of like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe that Barrios was a fluke." Guy, he was a young Olympian. He's got a really good, different, set of punches. He's got good variety to his shots. Tough son of a bitch, fought through a broken jaw. Andy, I knew that he wasn't going to lose to Jordan Thompson. So this fourth round stoppage, not a surprise to me whatsoever.
No surprise to me either, mate. I'd picked also. I wasn't on last week, but I had picked Opetaia to win by stoppage. Looked phenomenal, but at the same time, we've got to be real that Jordan Thompson isn't even. I wouldn't even say he's European level at this point, to be fair. And Opetaia just done what he done, mate. He's an absolute beast. Good to see him back. Obviously, he's been out now for over a year. I think he got his jaws broken in two places against Barrios. As you say, battle through it. And he's another one who's going to be a problem. All action, massive puncher. I mean, I forget what shot it was or what round. I think it might have been in the third. He hit Thompson kind of nearer half of the third round, kind of like toward the back end, and it fucking lit him up big style. Really fucking shook him up, and obviously the ending was pretty brutal in that as well. Lot to like about him. I think again it really depends on Eddie. At the end of the day, he's his promoter, but if Eddie's able to promote him properly, this guy could be the dominant force at cruiserweight for the next how many years until he decides to move up in weight, possibly. I'd have him definitely favoured to beat Billam Smith, Gulamarin, who holds the BA title, and I would probably say he beats Badu Jack in that as well. Whether he can get the fights made, I don't know, but it's a lot to like about him. But I'm going to pump the brakes because it is Jordan Thompson. But at the same time, the Maris Brothers fight holds a lot of credit for me because, as I say, Brothers was a top 5 cruiserweight at the time. Okay, he might have seen better days, but at the same time, he was still a top fighter. And Opetaia I thought he was tremendous in that fight. Considering everything he had to battle through in that as well. He's a fucking hard guy. Southpaw, big puncher. And you remember as well, as compared to, I think he's like listed as 6'2" possibly, which is tiny, I think, for a cruiserweight. Thompson was dwarfing him in terms of height, reach, and he just walked through him. Absolutely walked through him. We had nothing for him, Jordan Thompson. So another one who's probably been a victim of kind of like ranking and success with these shitty baubles that we can get these days and that. But job done, trash taken out, and Opetaia moves on. As I say, in my opinion, I think if he keeps going how he's going and stays injury free, that guy's going to rule the cruiserweight division.
He is a bad dude. He's about 6'3". I don't think he's 6'2". He's about 6'3". I'd say he's just a little bit smaller than Usyk, maybe.
Just on that Matt Butters comment, by the way, I think Matt, if you ask Opetaia for an opinion on certain people running about that company, mate, you wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Mr. Butters saying, "Can you lads talk about how Opetaia was not taking any of his own shit and called out Matchroom Boxing, treating Thompson as the A side?" Well, Steve, can you please talk about that?
No, I'm not going to talk about that, to be honest. Well, I mean, Matt Butters has said it all, really. I mean, he is a sort of sulking, intense character, and Matt Butters and Jay Opetaia, they're both intense characters, but there was no love lost, was there, between him and Eddie? He was complaining about the smaller ring as well. Seems like a marriage of convenience. Eddie's talking him up, but Opetaia's there for the money and for the big fights. And yeah, he absolutely called them out. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind, as Matt Butters says. So as for Thompson, I mean, just couldn't get out the way of the left hand, really. Every time Opetaia was throwing it over, his head was right there to take it. His nose was getting bloody. Thompson was very, very brave. His corner were even braver. Kept on sending him out when it appeared to me from about the third round. The fight should have been stopped. Opetaia, he switches stances really well, sometimes in mid-throw. And again, as Andy said, the belts are there to be won. If they can just make the matches, there's no reason why he can't sweep up. I'd make him a favourite over Badu Jack at the moment. And he's the most viable threat. Same against the other fighters. Billam Smith should be easy enough to make. I don't think Billam Smith signed to Eddie Is he? Because he was something to do with boxer. Well, I think he's like a free agent because Eddie was going, Opetaia is the best in the weight here, hands down. And I thought, what about Willem Smith sitting ringside? But I don't think he's signed to Eddie. And then Gullamarian is the WBA champion as well. I mean, I can't even remember if I've even seen him fight, to be honest, but you'd fancy Opetaia. Funnily enough, a rematch with Bradis might be more difficult than all three of them if they were to make that fight. Bradis was at ringside as well, talking up his chances, but he's near 40 now. I'd say the rematch would probably be Opetaia even more conclusively. He fights with an intensity and anger. He just wants to hurt people. We love a bit of that too. You could almost see what Jordan Thompson had to do in the ring. It was quite frustrating at times. If he could just stand up, get the jab going, get the right hand going, sort of maintain that range, all easier said than done. If he could just execute and implement those strategies, he could have had a bit of success, but he was thrown in way above his head. Don't blame him for taking it, but it was just a complete and utter mismatch. But yeah, love Opetaia's intensity. Let's get him out again. This was a 4-round beatdown of the highest order. So after that business with the Bradis incident, and hopefully his jaw's going to hold up over the coming fights. Just want to see him in against the champions now. Willem Smith, Gullamari, and then on to Badu Jack. He can absolutely wipe out that division in the next 3 fights, really. I think he does look like he's that good.
It's fantastic. It's just a shame he was on the shelf for such a long time after that victory over Bradis. Part of it because of the jaw, and then part because he just couldn't find a dance partner. They almost worked out the fight with Reactpor, which I think would be a hellacious fight. That didn't happen, and lo and behold, this is where we end up. Look at. I'll have to go and check that out. Looking forward to seeing what he might do, because that dude is pretty big. He's pretty bad, and he is pretty skilled as well. Now, Andy, I don't know how much of the rest of the undercard you caught on that one, but I kind of fell asleep during Clark and Dusar.
Yeah, well, I didn't catch any of the Sky card. I mean, that was just complete trash. So I'll just say that right now. I don't know if Steve maybe seen it, maybe fill us in, but I wasn't going to waste my time with that. I think it was still going on. I think even at 11 p.m. actually, for what I can remember. But I did catch bits of Clark and Dukar. Clark was just a different level, to be fair. Dukar, tough, all that type of stuff you want to call it. But after that performance, or after that result, should we say, he's now going to take on the role of journeyman. He's got a journeyman record now, 14-7-2. Clark, I thought, was working the body pretty well, showed decent skills. As I say, he was a level above Dukar, to be honest with you. I know it was for some vacant IBF title of some sort, so we'll get him in the picture at some point for Opetaia. But let's be real, I think Opetaia would potentially would probably beat Clark, to be fair. Plus, he's only 7-0 at this point, or 6-0, whatever he is. Same time, he's up in age, isn't he? So don't know if Eddie would just throw him in there, sink or swim time. 6-0, 33-year-old. What do you do? I mean, you're picking up these IBF trinket belts to try and get him in position for a world title. Hasn't he fought for a British? I don't even think he's even fought for an area level title, for example, either. So it'd be a good thing actually, fight at title championship level and that, do the 10 and 12 rounds, and making the weight, breeds good habits. But it's all about getting into position for world titles, I suppose.
Steve, did you catch that undercard? And if so, give us a rundown.
No, I'm feeling a bit run down just listening about it. To be honest with you, the Clark Dukar fight was on at the same time as Wallen Gassiev. So I was flicking back and forward, but I couldn't tell you anything about it. Dukar, I've heard of him before, actually. I'm just looking at his record now. Who's he fought? I thought he was a complete jobber.
I think he fought in the UK. I think he fought Thompson. It was about a close fight.
Mike Perez, oddly enough, that was the fight I was remembering. He fought Perez out in Dubai. Oh, yeah, he's fought Chris Willem Smith as well. Kevin Lorenia. Yeah, he seems durable enough, actually. He's not one of these guys who comes over and just falls over. He's only been stopped once. Who stopped him? Let's have a look. Oh, that was the Perez fight, indeed, yeah. So he's not the worst, but when I seen that undercard, it's just like, nah, man. Rhiannon Dixon, I saw her ring walking. That was all I saw of that. I watched at the end of the Scotney fight, I flicked it over when they were just about to read the scorecards out. And then they said, Laura Soledad Griffa looks happy just to have gone the distance. And I just turned over. That's enough for me. I'm not going to be interested in that one. Shannon Ryan. No, I didn't, Matty. I'm just wasting your time. I didn't see any of it.
Yeah, rough time. I was watching football during the American football prior. Yeah, I'm sorry. During that, we got tough decisions that need to be made on Saturdays. But anyhow, that I did catch that the fight between Walling and Gassiev again. Was able to catch it after I kind of dozed off trying to watch the Clark fight along with that at the same time. And God love Otto, he didn't want to be the come forward guy in this one, but Andy didn't have to. He just kept putting that jab out there, outworking Gassiev. Hurt him, I think, in the 6th round at one point. Gassiev might have pulled 2 or 3 rounds out of there, but the fact that I believe this was a split decision. I told you guys I thought that Wallen was going to get robbed, and they damn well tried. They tried.
They absolutely tried, mate. I mean, not only did the judges who actually gave it to Wallen quite rightly, but they had it far too close. 115, 113 twice, and then the other judge who had it for Gassiev, 117, 110. I mean, talk about trying. Why make it so obvious that you're bent? Why make it so fucking? I mean, anybody who watched that fight could see for the first 6, 7 rounds, it was all Otto Wallen, man. It was. And you mentioned about he hurt Gassiev, dipped his legs, he had him backing off. I think it was a right hook actually, I hurt him with, and he was picking him apart. Every time Gassiev tried to kind of jump in, he would catch him with a jab, he would spin off to the side. What was down the back half of the fight, especially maybe the last four-ish rounds, obviously Wallen's maybe tiring a little bit, and Gassiev's getting more into distance, and he's getting some more punches home, and he's getting some more combinations and that. But for the first 6, 7 rounds, he wasn't getting jack shit off, and certainly if he was getting anything off, it was like 1 or 2 punches here or there. Wallen was schooling him for the for the best half of that fight. Certainly like a 116, 117 type of scorecard for Otto Wallen, in my opinion. But my fucking God, did they fucking try to hose him, by the way. Because as I was saying to some of the boys on Twitter, I thought, considering how the first 6, 7 rounds of that fight was going, it was going to be preposterous to try and rob him at that point. It was so clear he was winning the fight. But as I say, what Gassiev saying, like, he's coming on a little bit down the back half, and then you think yourself, right, okay, wait a minute here. Just takes one of those judges to look at some of those earlier rounds and give him to fucking Gassiev, and we've got something cooked up. But 117, 110 to Gassiev. How the fuck that judge only found three rounds to Wallen? I mean, does he not watch technical fighters? Does he not like scoring fighters who kind of fight on the back foot and jab and move and all that type of stuff? Does he not watch that it's actually like, say, it's hit and don't be hit? My God, man, what a way to try and fuck a dude over. But I'm glad he won it, to be fair, because I don't think Gassiev's been treading water since the Usyk fight. He's been fighting trash. He's been used to people that he touches once, they fall over. Some of the kind of comeback fights since Usyk and that have been quite suspect in that as well. And certainly, as I say, he looked absolutely all at sea until Wallen maybe showed a couple of signs of fatigue in that in kind of the later half of the fight. But
Wallen's a big boy. I mean, he's like,
and he kept a good pace going.
He's not fat. He's just like kind of like thick, broadly built. I mean, he's you take him out, you're taking out a big boy.
I mean, he kept a good pace going in that as well, to be fair in that as well. He was on his toes, he was moving a fair bit in that as well, using every inch of the ring. And as you say, big dude, I think I don't know what weight he is. He must have been weighing 240, 250 anyway. And Gassiev, he's probably at his peak in that. He's probably like 230 to be honest with you. So, but yeah, definitely Wallen won that fight, and a split decision victory is just when you look back at that in a few years' time, he's only got a split decision victory. That doesn't even tell the fucking full story, mate. He, in my opinion, bossed that fight for the majority until maybe the later half, where it's got a wee bit more heavier weather than that. But for me, Wallen won that fight easily.
Yeah, I kind of thought that Wallen probably had about 7 in the bank. There are probably about 3 swing rounds and 2 for Gassiev. So, like 115, 113 was about as close as I thought you could have reasonably come on that one. Rob Kelly is joining us. We'll get to Rob in just a second. Steve, why don't we wrap on your Gassiev, Wallen commentary?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The biggest struggle was finding a stream, I think, and then an even bigger struggle trying to get it to hold off. I think the last few seconds it disappeared, and then we didn't see the scores, and we were starting to worry that there was going to be a bit of home cooking going on.
The fuck, it was a bit of home cooking going on.
I know, we didn't know what was going to happen, but it wasn't that easy on the eye. I must admit, for long stretches, it was a fairly uneventful fight. Gassiev he's fairly clueless, isn't it? Closing the distance for such a high level fighter. He was the beast of the cruiserweight division at one point. We joke he's been perennially 27. Whether he can come again, I don't know. He's been so inactive. It must be a southpaw thing. Lebedev gave him trouble. I think it was a split decision. Usyk absolutely led him a merry dance. Wallin as well. Then on Saturday night, give him trouble. He looks small and lean. Andy mentioned about the weight. Apparently, he came in at 215 last night, and he was 238 when he weighed in against Big Pudding Mike Balogun. So that's 10, 20, 23 pounds lighter. I thought that
He looks slim, eh?
Yeah, I thought he looked really slim. Very, very, very slim for heavyweight, and it definitely paid. Yeah, so he'd really shed about 20, 23, 24 pounds since he beat that other guy. But Wallin's main jab was his weapon. Not everything he was throwing was actually landing, but he was just able to throw a couple of jabs. And then as Gassiev came into range, he threw the right hook just to spin him and then just disappeared off behind him and escaped. And it was just time and time again. Gassiev just wasn't able to deal with this until Wallin started to tire a little bit. It wasn't a great technical fight. I think Gassiev, to be honest, just what you see, he's pretty limited technically. I don't think he's ever going to impact the upper levels of the heavyweight class. He's not this beast that everyone's made him out to be. And as for Wallin, I don't know. It's hard to know. He had to take this fight. You'd imagine he'd get pushed up in the rankings. I think it was IBF, wasn't it? We Hrgovic had been waiting for an IBF shot for about 3 years. So you can see Wallin never getting a shot ever. What's he going to do in the meantime? Have to go out to fight another eliminator or keep on fighting 6-rounders when he's undermotivated? The heavyweight division's a bit of a mess at the moment. People just waiting years and years and years. You can see Hrgovic fighting Wallin at some point for some kind of interim belt. I don't know how they're going to sort the mess out.
That's a decent fight.
No, that would be okay. But then they'd say, well, why should Hrgovic could say, well, why would I fight a dangerous guy like that? I've been waiting in line for ages.
I'd kind of like to see Wallen fight Bacoli. I think that'd be an interesting fight.
It would be. But then the problem is they're all sitting on rankings, aren't they? And they're all saying, oh, I'm not going to take a chance. But then Wallin did come out to fight Gassiev. Bacoli went out to fight Yoka. Who would put it on? Who'd promote that?
But the thing is, but you also have to earn a living, Steve. We forget about that, and that sitting on a ranking only goes so far. You have to still earn a living.
I know, but from a promoter's point of view, who's going to say, right, I'm going to put down so many 100,000 or so many tens of thousands or whatever for Wallin to fight Martin Bacoli? You know, why would anybody do that? I don't know. Tell me in the chat, why would they? What's the
benefit? Show me a graph of how and where this fight makes money. I need statistics.
Yeah, it's I don't know about that. Wallin is definitely kind of in a no man's land. He's a good fighter and high risk, low reward, right? Just gotta keep working your way up the rankings and make it happen. Always working his way up the rankings. What rankings? I don't know. The sport, I probably don't even understand. Join us today, Rob Kelly. Rob, how have you been? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, sir. Hello? And now I can't understand.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me shortly, and I'll jump back on. Anyway, I'll be back on soon. I'll be home soon. I'll be back on.
Okay. Well, that was brief. Oh, man. Steve, I don't think they know how hard it is to host this thing. Like, at a moment like this, how do you keep up any sort of continuity? Like, what do you do? There is no seamless. No such thing. No such thing. Let's see here. Got a comment, or let's see here. Colonel Bob Sheridan. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remembering that. Yeah. Bob Sheridan has passed away. I thought that was something more specific. The Colonel who was on the call the night that Buster Douglas knocked out Mike Tyson. The man who, using his Corvette, took out and killed 8 motorcyclists outside of Victorville, California. Passed away late last week. Definitely a legend in the boxing game and a character to boot. Andy, any thoughts on the Colonel?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously they kind of, remember that recent broadcast maybe last year with Polly Malik Nagy. Don't know if the old man was pissed at the time or whatever, that, but aye. As you mentioned, those motorcyclists and that, they'll be having a party that he's passed on. But yeah, look, he's one of the legends. And that, I mean, they don't have like a heart attack or whatever. Then they checked himself out of hospital that same day, then went away and done his job as an announcer or something like that. I can't remember what fight it was, to be fair, but he was there during like the golden years, wasn't he? He covered everybody: Leonard, Hagler, Duran, Ali. I think he might have even been in Africa the time that Ali beat Foreman. Who else? Four Kings, Hearns, as I mentioned, possibly in that as well. I think me and Steve did the punches for the past for Salvador Sanchez against Gomez. He was on the broadcast that night. But as we mentioned, I think he even did the rematch between Tyson and Holyfield. I think that was the fight that he had the heart attack apparently as well. So yeah, he's had a good innings though. 79-year-old or whatever it was. So fair play, RIP to the Colonel.
Yeah, it rough time for his family, but heck, he got into his late 70s. Not a bad life whatsoever, especially when you have those kind of experiences. So yeah, God bless the family. Wish you all the best. Yeah, hopefully let you drive the Corvette in the afterlife there, Colonel. Maybe not after what you did, but we shall see. But anyhow, let's see here if we had anything else. Do we have any questions or anything? Did not have any questions. Let's see here. So we didn't get a chance to talk about it a little bit, but it's interesting, Andy. If you let's just say that Charlo basically doesn't fight for a while and the belt's fractured for whatever reason.
54 you're talking about.
And then Crawford moves up and has fights Canelo or does some crazy shit like that, leaving 147 fractured. What are some fights that you would like to see out of the makes, considering there'll be really 4 vacant belts going on? And if you go ahead and use your imagination for a moment, and I'll pull up some rankings.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I mean, we've already mentioned 2 of the names: Stanionis and Boots. That's the fight you want to see. Or when you want to see those guys active. Virgil Ortiz, I don't know what's happening. I mean, you may as well just writing that career off at this point. I just do not know what's happening with that guy whatsoever. He's just unreliable. You got Josh Taylor now up at 147. It would be interesting to see how he copes actually, because obviously he's losing a lot of his advantages coming up in weight and that as well. He's going to be fighting the guys roughly about the same size. And there's question marks now whether he's seen better days than that as well. He's had like a long career. 54. Obviously, you got Luben there last night and that as well. I'm still kind of like going through that fight at the minute. Tim Tszyu, we mentioned him. He's now been made up to interim WBO champ. You got Xander Zayas. I just pulled up the 68, sorry, the 54 rankings here. You got Xander Zayas. You got Takashi Inoue in there as well. Kurbanov, Madrimov, Fundora's been checked, hasn't he? Yeah, in terms of potential fights, there's nothing really kind of sticking out there for me. I mean, obviously, depending on what Charlo does, I suppose you got Josh Kelly ranked at number 1 there as well. I mean,
well, so what's going on with the Mendoza-Tszyu fight? Because Mendoza is like an interim WBC champion, and then Tszyu is the interim WBO champion. And he's actually now been elevated. He's the full. So is that a unification?
No, I think for what I can see on BoxRec, mate, that was just put down as a WBO world title fight. That happens next. I think it happens in a fortnight, 3 weeks' time. I think it is in Australia.
Yeah,
Mendoza fight.
Yep. So interesting. So on that, I think basically, Tim Tszyu is the champion right there. So you could kind of go from there and kind of going through, looking at the rankings right there, based on who is PBC. I guess you could see Tszyu defending against Ramos. That's a possible fight. The IBF. God. Have you ever seen Bakram Murtazaliev fight? I'm trying to think if I have, Andy.
I know the name actually.
I can't remember against you though.
Welcome back, Steve. You Rob disappeared within 20 seconds. You really left me hanging there.
Oh, sorry.
This is terrible timing. It all just went to shit. It all went
you
to
gotta
shit.
go. You gotta go, Matty.
I'm telling you. So you have him at 1, Colque at 2, Jesus Ramos at 3 on that one. So I don't know about that one.
Jack Colque back in the mix at 54, eh? Fucking
That
hell,
just
man.
tells you all you need to know, that doesn't it?
Yeah.
Who's
So,
Murtazalia fighting under?
I'm sure it's PBC, I'm thinking.
I
Give me a
don't know,
second. I'm going to
I
pull up
can't
his
remember.
details if I can get them. Where is it?
Sue's fighting Mendoza, isn't he, on the 14th of October, I think?
Yeah, we already mentioned that.
Okay, sorry.
back
And Mendoza has a title, and Sue, haven't they both got interim titles? Is that like a unification?
Yeah, well, Zhu's been elevated. He's officially WBO.
Oh, is he
now.
right?
I have
Okay,
the
fair
same
enough.
wonder about Mendoza's WBC. I have no idea.
Aye, so that Murtazalia, mate, he's definitely mixed in with the Showtime crowd and that I see here with the last couple of fights he's been on the Showtime, Samson, Wikowicz and that. He's 21-0, 15 knockouts, but here's the rub. He's only been in one sanctioned 12-rounder over those 20 fights, and he went a distance with a guy called Jorge Fortu, 21-1. I don't recognise anybody this guy's fought, to be fair. I don't even recall seeing any of his pro fights. Maybe I have, but
Charlo will drop them belts, I think.
I think I've maybe know this name through the amateurs possibly, but I've no seen him. To be fair, I
Charlo will
don't
drop them belts. I think they'll put Luben in with Tim Sue at some point. I think that's what they'll do.
I'm just watching Luben getting tagged up against the ropes here by Ramos in the 7th round. He's getting manhandled, man. He's getting forearmed and everything all over the ring. What would Zhu do to him?
I know. They'd fancy that, though, because Luben, they're happy to put him in, aren't they, now? They probably expected Ramos to beat him, and they're happy enough. I think they would put Luben in with you.
I'll tell you the fight I like looking at this. Madrimov against Kurbanov. I like that fight.
Madrimov, I'm not too high on, mate. Kurbanov's got his limits and that as well. But yeah, I take your point. It's no an elite fight. It's a trade fight, that one.
It's a fun fight.
James Metcalf is highly ranked with the WBA, and you've got Austin Trout at number 7.
What?
And Vito Melnicki at number 9. My God.
Oh my God. When was the last time your man fought there?
Trout?
Aye. Did he not fight like bare knuckle recently?
Yeah, something like. He was up for Bellew of the Week here because he'd done an interview with his top off. There you are. He's not looking in great shape, is he?
Just hanging around with his shirt off, just chilling.
As you do.
As you do.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, so a fight, I'm kind of looking at maybe what I might see happening here. I think Mendoza, basically with that fight with Zhu, if it's not a unification, it's going to be a vacating the belt. So I could see Conwell against Spence. They already have Spence ranked number 3 for the WBC. Conwell against Spence, I could see them making that one.
Conwell's a good fighter. I don't know why nobody signed him up.
See that Tawia Karim? I'm sure, is that not a Thai fighter? Did Josh Dillon bash him up at 140?
Not sure. I remember he fought somebody.
So he fought some Thai fighters, some sort of IBF mandatory. I'm sure it was a Thai fighter.
Didn't Tewa Karam fight somebody?
He fought Lucas Matisse, I think.
On the Mercito Gesta Jorge Linares card.
Yeah, he was a big dude, I think. He was like
that's
147.
right,
That's how Lucas got his interim 147 belt that he lost.
Let's check that. If I got that right, I'm going to pull myself off the call, man.
He's got 50 wins and 1 defeat, and that 1 defeat came to Matisse back in 2018. He has fought fucking nobody, and he's somehow ranked in the top 10 of the IBF, man. That's just trash.
It was on the Linares Gesta card in 2018. I need to be sectioned for that. For knowing
it's amazing that between
us
we were able to put that together off that. Here I am. Wait, I might know that.
I'm going to hand myself in.
The records, the record of his last 5 opponents was 3-0, 5-0, a debutant, 5-1 and 5-1, and a 17-5-1. And he's, as I say, he's fucking ranked in the top 10 of the WBA.
Here's a fucked up one for you. So the IBF has 11 Takeshi Inoue, 12 Bakary Samaki, and then 13 not rated, 14 not rated, 15 Austin Trout. Like, if you're not going to at least put him up to 13, why even fucking have him there? There's nobody else there.
Sam Eggington number 13.
I swear to God. Is that what you have on yours?
Yeah, I'm on boxing scenes rankings, mate. So I don't know how up to date they are, but you know they've got Sim Zhu here and as the interim champ. So
I tell you one to look out for, Andy. That he's ranked in number 8 by the WBC. He's
Tellez.
Tellez.
Yeah.
He's handy.
Cuban.
He battered. Was it Garcia he battered in the last fight? I think Sergio Garcia. Yeah,
I think you're right, mate.
Oh yeah, he's that. Yeah, he was the one on the undercard of Terence Crawford. He was like 5-0 and went in there and like, God damn, they're moving this guy fast.
Sergio Garcia. I think Garcia was like, he was no ex-European champion or something like that.
That's right. Solid fight. Yep, solid fighter at the distance with Fundora, and that Tellez battered him like him. And Xander Zayas is another one to watch. He's ranked highly. Number 2 by the WBO, although they wouldn't make that because of cross-promotional issues.
That Garcia had been in with Fundora and Tony Harrison and that as well.
That's right.
Can you imagine Josh Kelly against Xander Zayas?
Freak's sake, I don't know. Josh Kelly. Oh, Josh Kelly, yeah.
Yeah, he's ranked quite high. But I'm interested to see if when the mandatory gets called, actually. Because obviously Charlo's been holding those belts hostage for a fair bit. The mandatories will be stacking up. So I'd imagine Zoo might have a quick turnaround here after the Mendoza fight, if he wins that, of course. But you would think as well, maybe Mendoza would lose his WBC interim title because he's fighting for WBO as well, because you know how they don't like to fucking mix and match his belts and that, eh?
I should unify them, man.
So, anyhow, that was 154, and we sure broke new ground there with that discussion. Let's go to 147, assuming Terence Crawford vacates here. Right now, let's say that Amanis Stanionis will get elevated to full champion. We're going to take Virgil Ortiz out of the fold. That guy's not making 147 again. Quit having people in there. That's ridiculous. So looking at one interesting thing there, I think might happen. These rankings will obviously change. Ugas out at number 2 in the WBC rankings. Barrios was at 4. That will move him up. Currently 1 is Cody Crowley. So the fight we actually might see, Mr. Wellington, might be Cody Crowley against Mario Barrios, which I think is an interesting fight, actually. Barrios Crowley kind of just sneaking his way up the rankings there. And after his fight with the other Ramos brother, not too sure about his level. I think that could be a good action fight. Crowley does go there to swing.
Crowley against Barrios.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, Crowley's overdue a shot, isn't he? Wasn't he highly ranked with the IBF at one point? Oh, he is. He's number 3, vacant. So he might hold off for a vacant shot. Him against Esserman, they were talking about that, weren't they, for the vacant IBF? I think that might be more.
Yeah,
realistic.
but they had no interest in bidding on that one.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I've heard that's basically in the toilet. So that's why I'm looking at the WBC on that one, because he's won there, so he's basically due the shot, correct? So I could see that one because Ugas obviously moving out. Suleiman Sissoko right there in behind him. Josh Taylor at 5 right now. Sounds like he's going to be getting it on with Catterall sometime next year. Then you have Kavalauskas after that. Avanation, so yeah, that's basically junk after that.
Alexis, sorry, Martin.
Then on the WBA side, Stanionis, like I said, get Ortiz out of there. Then you have Giasov, Thurman, Butayev, Spence. Obviously, Spence moving out of there up to 154. Maestre after that. Crowley also ranked there. I don't know that one. So I guess we could potentially see Andy Stanionis against Keith Thurman. That might not be out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, God. Jesus, what a waste of fucking training camp for Stanionis that is, man.
Thurman needs to fuck off, man. He shouldn't be getting title shots at anything.
Hey, I met Keith Thurman. Nice guy.
I don't give a fuck who you've met, by the way. He doesn't deserve another world. This is the fucking problem, by the way. These fucking fighters getting recycled and get other opportunities and that. Thurman, people forget, was missing in that MIA for about 3 years, like the best part of his prime. 3 years missing because he's away fucking...
Well, now he's been out for like 18 months again.
Yeah, exactly. So he's come back, had one tune-up fight, and he's talking about world titles and, well, Keith one time, Thurman, talks himself about third person. Fuck off, man. He doesn't deserve anything. Fuck him off.
Jesus Christ. That was really angry.
Sick and tired. The thing is, man, right, okay. Just need to get these fucking 47 rankings back up here. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing the same faces getting the same fucking opportunities. Like Danny Garcia, man, it's like a shite that won't flush. You got Spence done 147. Get him the fuck out of there as well. Taylor's, as been mentioned, that it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But Ugas washed. Maestre, again, the guy's been set back because he got robbed. Butayev would be a hard out for anybody, to be fair. I mean, I like to see Butayev. Listen, see if you want to see Keith Thurman fight him, but I want to see him fighting fucking Butayev. Butayev would fucking take him to the fucking shadow realm. And Stanley Owens would just pump that jab all night long and just destroy his face. So, fuck Thurman off, man. I ain't interested in seeing any more of his fights. That was a guy who spoke like a fucking future Hall of Famer and delivered fucking none of it. Coming through the ranks and that, he looked great. I think, all right, we've got, this guy, Matty was bigger on him and that, but let's be real here, man. He hasn't really kind of delivered them half of his fucking talk.
he hasn't, but he does have wins over Danny Garcia and Sean Porter.
Wow, Danny Garcia, mate. Fucking hell.
Good wins at the time, but you're talking 5-6 years ago, and with the inactivity and everything, he's making a mockery. He's making a mockery of the rankings.
I'm just reporting from the rankings. I didn't know it was such an emotional topic for you.
Remember? No, but I'm fed up of watching these same fucking fighters all the time, mate, getting opportunities over I'm just trying to kind of get someone, just grab someone at the right. I mean, for example, look at Avanesian, right, getting fucking ducked constantly off Josh Kelly, right, and he's good, and he finally gets the opportunity and he gets fucking done. But he'll not get another chance. He'll not get in at the front of the camera and say, I want to fight so and so. I want a world title fight like fucking Keith Thurman, like I'm some sort of fucking hot commodity. He's a fucking part-time fighter. He's made his money, and he should just fuck off and leave everybody else to kind of get on with it. Now, you've had your career. It was okay, and that was it. You're not going to do anything else. You're not going to do anything special. And fucking Pacquiao, we'll just end it on that. Actually, what Pacquiao done to him just basically kind of proves my point. He's done. He's finished. Fuck him off.
I think it's hard. I think the problem is it's hard to invest in guys like Thurman because you think to yourself, oh, he's going to come back after 18 months and he gets a win or he puts a good performance. Like Barrios, the boys are mentioning about Barrios there. He beat Barrios, but you can't invest in him because he disappears again for another 2 years then. Where's continuity? Oh, let's see him fight so-and-so now. You don't know where he is. He's like, who knows? He could be up a mountain somewhere.
And he definitely ducked boots because when the fans were all saying after he came back with that tune-up win that he had in that, right? Okay, you want a world title fight Boots in the final eliminator. Well, what you got to understand, nobody knows who Boots is, and Keith one time Thurman is the next world champ. Oh, fuck off, man. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't want to give the young guys coming up a chance to kind of prove their worth in that, but he's willing to fucking take the same opportunities off the young guys coming up, thinking he's fucking entitled. Fuck off.
Well, that's interesting, guys. If you go through these, do you see Jerome Ennis on any of these lists?
Jerome Ennis
147. I don't see him ranked anywhere.
I'll just check 54 see if he's been dropped in there. But yeah, you're right. He's no. But did they not have title fights fall apart or something like that along those lines? What was it again?
I don't know, but fuck, that's weird.
Give me a minute. I'll see if I can find anything.
Huh. He's on that list there, number 2.
That's the PBC rankings, okay?
No, that's Box Live or something.
It's interesting. I just noticed that Marcel there, Matty, he's not on the rankings, so maybe.
That's weird.
I don't know. That is a weird one, actually, because he held the IBF and was it the interim belt for a period.
He beat that Vio, who's at number 9 there. Oh, he's not ranked because he has the interim IBF. Complicated, this, isn't it?
Because see, the IBF were the ones for creating interim belts for most reasons. So right, well, okay, that would make sense then if he's not. But still, boxing scene have got the interim champions named, and he's no named there. So
yeah, that could be a mistake.
It could be. It could be.
Man, there's a fair amount of fights that to be made there, and hopefully they make it's something that we like to see. I see a lot of decent fights out there to be made. But I kind of think, Rocha against Esserman, that is a good fight. I think that might have been mentioned. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if these belts fracture, what happens. I'm very curious to see what might occur as that goes on. I was kind of hoping Rob would be back here before we move on into previews, but I don't know that we're going to get to that opportunity, unfortunately. So I don't know. We shall see. Let's get the old notebook out here and see what we have happening in the world of boxing. I know that there is a Pro Box card this Wednesday, but honestly, on paper, I kind of think, other than the main event, it was one of the weakest ones that I've seen up to this point. But I still think the main event could be interesting. Pablo Cesar Cano, who we've seen in many fights, taking on Zachary Ochoa. I think last seen losing to Brandon Lee That's going to be a 140-pound contest. Like I said, maybe they changed some things up, but the other fights didn't look too good. But Steve, happily, we're going to have the return of one of our favorites in 2 weeks on a Pro Box card, Brandon Glanton. So not this week, but in a couple. He kind of got done wrong 2 times in a row, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. But so we got that going on Wednesday. Kano against Ochoa could be a good main event there.
Yeah, that's not a bad fight, that, I don't think. Kano, flip me, he's been going. Didn't he beat Paulie Malignaggi a few years ago?
Nah, he lost a split decision. Joe dropped him.
Okay.
He probably should have won that fight, in hindsight.
I recognise the Ochoa name. He's turned up on a few top-ranked cards in recent years, so yeah, that should be a decent scrap, though.
Yep, I think so. So that'll get you through the midweek, and then Friday from Sheffield, I'm going to have a card that's headlined by Reese Mold against Martin McDonough. Reese Mold recently beat Hamed Gaz, taking his O earlier this year. McDonough not so as lucky. One of his defeats coming to Harlem Eubank. Decent little domestic scrap there, Steve. Do you like that one?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's televised or not. Reese Mold, I think he's in the Josh Warrington camp, isn't he? He was being trained by Sean O'Hagan at one point. Yeah, he's a decent little fighter. I don't know about the TV on that one because there's a BT card on the same night as well. So, yeah, good luck to Reese Mold. There used to be a Martin McDonough from Manchester boxed about 10, 15 years ago. I don't know if this is any relation to this McDonough, but that's all I have of interest to add to that one.
There you go. At least it was something. Also, on Friday, from your call, decent fight, undefeated Masood Abdullah taking on Mark Leach, who can pull an upset at any given time. I think if Oz was here, he might be all over this particular fight. I
see that's for the vacant Commonwealth silver title, by the way. When the fucking Commonwealth title start getting silver belts and that, man, what the fucking load of crap.
A bit weird, isn't it, though?
Yeah, eat shit. Fucking, it's everywhere.
I think Leach might win that fight, Leach is a decent fighter. He outboxed that Chris Bourke, didn't he? I know he lost to Liam Davis, but I think Liam Davis is going places, and he beat Ashfaq as well, Leach. He's a handy enough 12-round fighter. I think Abdullah could be, he'll have his hands full on that one.
Beat Asomba as well. He's usually he's usually good to go, good rounds and that,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right.
Ashfaq as well.
And then on Saturday, going to have a card happening from Canada. Going to have Evelyn Bermudez defending her IBF and WBO belts against Kim Clavel, deciding to take a different route after losing a fight to Jessica Neri Plata. Also on that fight, what could be an interesting 147-pound scrap between Sebastian Bouchard and the undefeated Moslam Akdeniz, 18-0 coming into that fight. And then, although not necessarily in order of time, this will be Sunday morning for you guys all, Saturday evening for me. Going to have a card from Las Vegas on DAZN. A couple of interesting fights on there. One I kind of like is Beck the Bully Melikusiev taking on Atlantis Fox, who in his, speaking of Canada, was jacked in his last fight against Eric Bazinian, at least in my opinion, Steve. And then the headlining fight, both these gentlemen going to cruiserweight, Zurdo Ramirez taking on Joe Smith Jr. in a fight I think is going to be a pretty hellacious war. Steve, not a bad little bit of fare from DAZN for a Saturday night or maybe a Sunday morning with your coffee.
Yes. De La Hoya.
Fucking hell, Steve, man. What's going to make you have a shite mare, man? Fucking watching Turdo or having a drink of coffee.
Yeah, I don't know if I share Matty's enthusiasm, but it should be a bit of a war. You'd expect Ramirez would win that fight. I didn't realise about Melikusiev on the undercard. Yeah, the Fox fight, I think he exposed Bazinian, as Matty mentioned. I thought Bazinian probably just about nicked that fight. But on the undercard, actually, there's a few prospects. Eric Tudor, I've seen him before. He's an Oscar De La Hoya prospect, one to look out for. Darius Fulgham as well. I like the look of him in his last fight. He can definitely punch. He's stepping up in class. And Daniel Luna. Oscar's got some decent fighters coming through. Melikusiev as well. He's on the rebuild after the Rosado loss. So there could be some decent undercard action. But as for the main event, I don't know, man. Ramirez has pissed about for so long. And Joe Smith Jr. feels like he's been recycled upon recycled upon recycled. It's just it's an easy main event to make. I can see why they've done it, but I don't know. It doesn't really get me going, like Andy says on a Sunday morning. Unfortunately, although it does take a bit more these days to get you going anytime.
Andy, do you have any hype at all about this fight? Are you excited whatsoever?
No.
You're
I mean,
sad.
I can remember watching Turdo against Bivol, mate, and that was enough. I think we all said it at the time. Bin him off. It's been another career just of nothingness, basically, mate. I mean, even when he was champ at super middleweight, it was just crap to watch. There was nothing inspiring whatsoever about him. I mean, I can remember when he fought Arthur Abraham, mate, and it was a 12-0 decision, but that's a washed Arthur Abraham, like 50 pro fights deep. You know, years past his prime, not even at his best fighting weight, mate, and he still couldn't fucking stop him. You know, so yeah. And Joe Smith, I think he did he retire after the Beterbiev beatdown? You know, what ambitions he got left to be doing this, man? It's just another fucking payday, I suppose, not. But nah, I'm not going to be kind of like getting up the first thing Sunday morning. This will be the first fight I'm watching, unless somebody tells me that it's going to be like, oh, Andy, it was a great fight, by the way. You need to watch it, right? Okay, I'll maybe stick it on, but I think I might just watch the highlights. I think, mate.
Thomas Newman's big on Joe Smith. I've seen him put it in the chat a couple of times about Smith beating Zerdo, but I don't think so, man. I'd fancy Zerdo, to be honest with you, to win that fight.
I wonder if there's
It'd be great though to see Smith win it, I suppose, because just to end Turdo for good, man. Just like fuck him off, you know. I'm not against Smith, mind you. So as I say, he's a blue collar guy. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, he seems like a good cat, man. I ain't got no qualms with Joe Smith.
Yep.
Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if there's some odds up here.
Just saying to Steve, not anybody, but while you're doing that, just let listeners know, saying to Steve, if anybody's interested, there's a German card on next week. You probably need a VPN on MDR. One of the upcoming super middleweights, Olesius and Glacius, is a Cuban based in Germany, and he's got the IBO super middleweight title. Could be a player at 68. Just need to wait. Another southpaw, obviously, in that as well. So just need to see how he develops. He beat Isaac Chilemba, who beats him as well. So clearly, the guy can fight.
I know it wasn't the best version of Isaac Chilemba.
Yeah, but who beats him, though, mate? To be fair, you know.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything up there on for odds for Smith and Zerdo yet. I'm
gonna get it during the week though, eh?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that one because I do. Yeah, I would have to think that Smith is going to be coming into that one a pretty heavy underdog, but I always got to give him a puncher's chance.
I think you'd be surprised, actually. I think that'll be maybe more closer than what you think, actually.
Yeah,
really, it should be because I mean, both going up in weight. Zerdo looked absolutely awful against Bivol, and we saw what happened to Joe Smith. So I think they might be hard to kind of match that one, possibly, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to take a look and
who are you fancying? Exactly. You didn't know. So what's the point of betting on that shit, man?
If you find something of value, if we're just like if you're really like scratching your head, and the odds are just incredibly tilted one way or the other. Well, there's value on the fucking underdog at that point in time. Yeah. Anyhow, back on the call. Thank God. Before we get to the last card, always just in the nick of time, Rob. I'm always impressed. You must have telekinesis or some crazy shit like that. So why don't you?
Well, listen, baby, I'm not always here when you call, but I'm always on time. You know what I mean?
There you go. So why don't you give us your recap of what you saw this week, and then we'll get into the Wood versus Warrington card as a group after that.
Well, I'll give you a recap of what I saw this week in the fights. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know. I like Canelo and Charlo was a big disappointment for me. Like, not that I was excited about it in the first place. It's the wrong fucking Charlo. Like, he's fighting a guy the wrong size. You know, we expected Canelo to show some signs of regression. Not really sure if he was tested enough at all in the fight where he had to answer any questions at all. We know everything that we know about Canelo is still the same. He cuts off the ring. He's got extremely fast hands and he has a great beard. And I thought Charlo was very quiet, I thought, in the build up to this, uncharacteristically so maybe. He wasn't doing a whole lot of barking. And maybe he was bet before he went in, but I expected him to give a much better account of himself and at least maybe have the willingness to go and try and firefight with Canelo at certain stages to risk it. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't going to ever box his way to a decision against Canelo Alvarez. And in a lot of ways, then, is this just a bit of a con job? Like, not want to fucking, like, you know, discredit. I know there's 2 weight categories, but if he's going to go up and fight, like, I mean, you had examples of people jumping 2 weight classes, like even with British fighters, Brook and Khan, respectively, going up against Canelo and Triple G, and they went down on their shield. Like, you know what I mean? They boxed really well for certain parts of the fight, and then they got caught and stopped and devastated or whatever. But that was a kind of a mealy mouth performance from Charlo, I thought. Like, I mean, it's easier said than done as well, but I felt like he tasted the power earlier and he didn't want to know, just went into survival mode. I'm not sure how this fight ever made sense as a draw or as a spectacle or as a promotion. And I think it's Showtime just fucking throwing their hat in it, isn't it? And PBC, like, obviously Showtime is leaving boxing, and that's a poor fucking main event. Like, we haven't learned anything about any of them. The only thing I'd say making it interesting, and it's interesting only for the point of an event, and I'm kind of getting wary just talking about boxing shows that are big events, and it's this fucking Bud versus Canelo thing that won't go away, that was talked about on Joe Rogan now that Charlo's lost. And Crawford's made it clear Charlo fought scared. He's going to go in and, you know, he definitely fight a different way. But I think this is a bit of a fucking freak show as well, Bud versus Canelo. To be honest with you, it's not like a fucking fight. I would way rather see the Charlo versus Crawford fight at 54 and see if he become undisputed at 54.
But he doesn't have all the belts at 154 now.
All right, okay, all right, it's fragmented. Okay.
He was, and Bud was laughing it off. He's chasing history, and that's the thing. Like, why not chase history? If he loses to Canelo at 168, so fucking what? You know, it's a 3 weight jump. That's huge, and I tend to think he will try harder than Charlo.
Yeah, but it's still going to be what it is. I mean, I'm the number 1 Bud Crawford fucking fan. I should have a Bud Crawford podcast. I'm the number 1 fucking Crawford cheerleader rather in the sport, but I don't know. That's a bit of a freak show to me. I don't know, but I can see it being made, and that's the fucking funny part about it. I think that fight's probably going to be made. Wouldn't be surprised if some lads out in Saudi rock up with 100 million or something, or 200 million to put it on either. Like, I just wouldn't be surprised with anything these days. It seems to be event driven, chasing the revenue rather than anything to do with the sport. So I'm gone off on a bit of a tangent, but just that's kind of encapsulating my entire feeling about Canelo and Charlo. Was a bit of a fucking dud, like.
Yeah, it might be. Did you catch your boy Otto?
Big Otto Wallin, problem for anyone in the heavyweight division. I kind of favoured him to beat Gassiev, to be honest with you. I think Gassiev lost the fucking plot when he started getting tattoos of Jake Paul and all that, didn't he? I don't think there's any way back since then. And Otto's a big unit, man. And Joe Igamachi's a very good trainer. They seem to have a really good relationship. I was listening to the pod there when I was driving, when I tried to call in earlier, and I heard what you were saying about him. You know, who are possible opponents and fellas have to fight to pay the bills. And this is it. And Otto's in that position where he gave Fury such a hard fight. They wouldn't dream of putting him in with Anthony Joshua. You know, they talked about him as a potential Joshua opponent. That'll be the end of the Joshua show. I think Wallin, I'd favour him versus Joshua. He hasn't really got anywhere to go while the belts are being held up. So he's just going to have to wait to try and force himself into a mandatory position, which is not going to be easy. But in the meantime, I think he provides value against anyone in the heavyweights, and he's actually probably one of the better fringe heavyweights as well. And I'd say it will be tough to beat him as the more he goes on.
Trying to think of how many, other than Usyk, how many southpaws Joshua's faced too.
It was Franklin, though, a southpaw.
Charles Martin, man, the king of them all.
That's right.
Walks himself like a god, man. You know what I'm saying?
Won his title against the southpaw. However could I have forgotten that show? As hard as I might have tried. Anyhow, coming up to the main event of this weekend, I do believe the card, at least on y'all's side of the pond, that people are going to be most excited about. Also from Sheffield, going to have a big time out there. Can train your drinking over the weekend there, folks. Can train it. Going to be headlined by Leewood versus Josh Warrington, but let's go to the undercard first. Going to have Terry Harper against Cecilia Brækhus. Harper's WBA and the vacant WBO title on the line. Going to have a battle between undefeated featherweights with Hopi Price taking on Connor Coghill. And then a fight that's pretty close in the books, 165-pound fight between Kieran Conway and Linus Udofia. Steve, what are your thoughts on this undercard?
Okay. Right, Kieran Conway against Linus Udofia. Yeah, that's a decent enough fight. Oh, Terry Harper's. I thought Brækhus had retired. I don't know what's going on there.
She has 42 now, but even though she's 42, I still think she's got enough to beat.
Yeah, that's
Terry
what I was
Harper,
thinking.
like,
Yeah, you think she knows enough, and Harper's okay,
Yeah.
but she's not great, is she? And
She was
she's got ice before.
Brækhus as well. I mean, I remember being in Norway one Christmas that she'd been nominated like the sports person of the year for like the 5th year running in Norway, and that first female, I think, to be completely undisputed in boxing. And then the month that she done it, guess which female fighter was on the front of Ring magazine? Wasn't it Brækhus? It wasn't even a boxer. It was fucking Ronda Rousey. Is this the woman to beat Floyd Mayweather? Holy fuck!
Yeah, Brækhus is in her 40s.
Remember that?
Remember that? I did remember that.
Remember Dana White, like, shamelessly, I'm telling you right now, she would fuck Floyd Mayweather up. You know, she's a woman. Floyd Mayweather is fucking undefeated.
Floyd Mayweather's undefeated against women, man.
No chance.
Where'd you go from that? Hopi Price, not that fussed on him. He's okay. He's a bit of a feather duster, man. He beat that James Beach last time, 12 rounds against Connor Coghill. He's only got 1 knockout, so I don't know. I'm at a work do on Saturday evening, so I'm not going to be able to see any of this live. So you're barking up the wrong tree with me, Matty.
Ouch. Andy, your thoughts?
Sorry, on the undercard you said, mate?
Yeah.
Oh, nah, mate, it's complete trash, to be fair. I mean, come on. I mean, Terry Harper, I mean, you know, Canelo Alvarez is a big fan of her, obviously, in that, mate, but we all know it's all about levels in this game, you know?
Yeah.
He went dead, but, yeah. Nah, mate, it's just trash. And I'm not even over enamored with the main event, to be fair, either. It's a typical recycle job by Eddie. Eddie likes to recycle these situations, these belts and fights, etc. and that. But yeah, nah, I'm not gonna be pumped for this one, mate. To be fair, but nothing at all in that undercard is really kind of like piquing my interest either, mate. I wouldn't even want to illegally stream it, mate. I feel dirty just illegally streaming this fucking card, to be fair. Even Ed.
Man, you guys make this job tough. You guys make this job really fucking tough. We're
just hard to please, you know.
I could just use a little bit of enthusiasm from time to time, you know. Thank God Matt Butter's throwing fucking fiver in there. Says watching Wood, Warrington, and Manchester on October 7th on the Nutters meetup. We'll have Des providing boxing insight and Ricky G giving cocaine advice.
Ricky
got
G,
that going for us.
Ricky G will be standing bouncer outside the box, that man, right? Hey, you come, get a line.
Hey, thanks, Matt. We appreciate that, buddy. I hope you guys have a fantastic time. Don't get arrested. I'm pulling for you. So the main event, Lee Wood against Josh Warrington. We always knew this was the fight Eddie wanted, and Eddie got it. But I do think it could be a decent fight. Warrington right now is just a little bit better, paying just a little bit better than 2-1 as the underdog. I don't know. Rob, I often worry looking at this and think, what will Warrington's dirty tactics or excuse me, how will Warrington's dirty tactics play in this particular matchup? And I don't know. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like Lee Wood. Like, I think he's a good fighter. I can't stand boxers like Ben Davison, obviously, but I do like Lee Wood. I think he's a nice kid and a good fighter, good puncher. I think he showed determination, regaining his crown. Thought he was fucking. He definitely got balls of steel. Like, he got the head pinged off him by Mick Conlon for 11 rounds and hung in there, dropped heavily, and came back. And I think he's probably the fresher of the two. And I don't know if Warrington's style lends to this. to beating Lee Wood. I don't know if he can just pressure him and put him to the ropes for 12 rounds without absorbing something on the way. And I think Wood could stop him late. Actually, I'm going to favor Lee Wood in this fight. I think he's going to stop Warrington probably in the last third of the fight. And Warrington he's a great kid. Like I like Warrington as well. I think he's a great champion. He's provided great value for his fan base. He fucking comes to fight all the time. He leaves it all on the line. But he is a fucking 35. He fucking uses his head, and his elbows, and he's a fucking. But that's his style, you know what I mean? So I always feel like that in boxing, if someone's fouling, you just foul them back. Like it's the way to do it. Like, but yeah, I think Warrington should probably have maybe too many outings at this stage, and mightn't have enough left to beat the fresher Wood this night. Like.
Interesting. Let's see here. The looks like they're thinking it's a distance fight there, Steve, for this one. I don't know about that one for sure. I kind of agree with Rob, but I always just wonder about, what are the chances of a technical decision on a head clash above the eye and things like that.
No, that's I think that too. Carry on, sorry.
Early doors, please, Eddie. Yeah. Fuck Eddie right off. Please, early doors.
It would just be a terrible, terrible time. I don't know if this. Let's just say, dirty tactics aside, if a headbutt doesn't end the fight, everything kind of being on the up and up. How do you see this going, Steve? We'll take out all those variables that will certainly play and try to call it down the middle.
First of all, not even joking, I would not be at all surprised if it ended on a head clash or someone getting cut. And probably would, to be honest. You'd think he's a bit taller, he'd avoid it, but Warrington coming up with that head, it would not surprise me at all. Or if they has to fight with blood pissing out the side of his eyes for a significant portion of the fight, it would not surprise me. I think, if you go into the fight, leave the kids at home, it's going to get tasty. They even stoked it up with the promo, didn't they? The two hooligan sides going at it with like the scarves around their mouths. It was like peak 1990s British hooligan scene going on there. So it's going to be an absolute riot. I don't know how Warrington, I'm sure, is it a voluntary defense or something? I'm not sure the title situation's working because he lost the title, didn't he, to Lopez?
Yeah, it's the IBF on the line.
Yeah, it's an easy fight to make. You can see why they've made it, putting these two together. As I say, it's going to be absolute carnage on the night. Wood's had a bit of a renaissance in his career. We've seen him being beaten in the past by decent enough fighters, but he's come back. The win against Conlon when he was behind was fantastic. I think he did a job on Lara last time. Very impressed. Lara was obviously dead at the weight. And Warrington just seems to be getting dirtier and dirtier, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Warrington win this, to be honest. I think they're pretty well matched, and if Wood can get on the jab and keep him at bay, then he'll have success, but Warrington will find a way in and rough him up. And yeah, I think the bet for me is either Warrington on points or more likely the cut will be involved in some way, whereas Wood might get cut early and then they end up having a technical later on or whatever, but the ref needs to get on top of that straight away because it has become more of a theme. I know we joke, but Warrington putting the head in has become egregious over recent fights. It was a thing early on in his career, but it's become pretty much every fight people are getting cut. And and the knees and the elbows as well. It's heads, shoulders, knees, and toes going in all the time on opponents. So hopefully the referee will be tough enough. But I fancy Warrington, to be honest. I think he'll win this.
Warrington for Mr. Esteban Wellington. Let's see here, Andy, your thoughts?
Pretty much agree with Steve, mate. I'm probably kind of going with either we get something shady like the head clash and we get cuts and it's forced to get stopped before we can get to a decision, for example, like a technical decision. But if we do get past that point, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lee would win by stoppage, to be fair. Just a matter to see what Josh Warrington obviously has got left in that as well. But he's also intimidating. He's had a hard career himself in that, and does kind of fight as if he's like this big puncher. And obviously the Lara knockout proves that as well, that he can be hurt, and Wood's a big puncher. Obviously Wood's had his own issues and that getting knocked out as well, but I don't see Warrington knocking him out as such. I think it might just be the right time for Wood in that as well to try and get to him. So I would probably say definitely. I'm picking Wood anyway. I wouldn't be surprised to see the knockout, but either way, I think Wood wins. And if it was to do it by knockout, I think it would be late.
Interesting on that. Yeah, you guys are going against the books who think this one's going to be a distance fight, God, I just lean at paying 3-1 for under 10.5 rounds and Warrington's head being part of the equation. That's a pretty good value bet right there. I have a hard time not putting a little bit of my winnings on to that potential shit show that always exists with our good friend Josh. It'll be an interesting atmosphere for sure. Where would the winner go from here, Steve? I kind of tend to think if Warrington wins, it would go straight into a rematch.
Yeah, to be honest, I've no idea. The cut could cause a rematch more than anything. I was going to say, who are you going for, Matty? What's your prediction?
I like Leewood on points.
The winner has to fight Kiko Martinez, surely. And then the winner of that has to fight Luis Alberto Lopez. And then the winner of that has to fight Kid Galahad, I would say. Isn't that the way it's plotted out? And then Mauricio Lara, sorry, he has to fight Galahad in Eliminator to fight the winner of that. Sorry, that's the way it has to happen.
Yeah, where's Mauricio Lara in all of this? That's a good point. That's a good point. I think this will be a good fight, but what do you think? Is there gonna be think there'll be violence in the crowd as well as in the ring?
Be. But they'll be on top of it. That's one thing Eddie's pretty good at, if not stopping it, hiding it. Like with Frank, there's no messing about. You see it on the TV, there's chairs flying, full ruck. Eddie does tend to hide it, usually behind the curtains or the empty seats. But yeah, there'll be some fights, but I'd say the security will probably be on top of it because they're expecting powder keg. It won't be Bo Galotta levels, I wouldn't have thought.
I had to laugh at AP's comment in the chat there about Sean Hagan flicking his fag at Woods Perm. Did you see it?
Up like Michael Jackson filming the Pepsi commercial. Yeah.
I was just thinking that. Anyhow, well, that we have a decent week of boxing there. I guess it's not the greatest, not the worst. We will have things to watch, so it could be worse. Andy, did I miss anything? Is there any action you're looking forward to?
No, mate. I think I mentioned that other card. As I said to you boys that last night, I mean, I didn't watch the Sky card, but I don't think we even spoke about it actually. Now I remember about it. But as I say to you guys, that why not watch a fucking free boxing show for wherever on YouTube rather than fucking pay a subscription and watch Sky, because you just get the same level fucking trash.
I saw Mick Hennessy's daughter making her debut. I watched a couple of rounds. Apparently. Yeah, I watched a couple of rounds of that. What else was on that?
Oh, yeah, there was Caroline Dubois was on that card too.
No, I didn't watch that. Sick. That was a terrible main event. That was a terrible main event. That was.
Yeah, but as I say, it's not. I mean,
what was the main event in that one again?
It was
Stevie McKenna and fucking
Dubois, wasn't it?
It was Dubois,
no, McKenna Tetley was on YouTube.
But the thing is, Rob, I'm sure that main event was still going on after 11 p.m. And then
this is the fucking
show as well
going
on at the same time.
Why are all these fights on in the middle of the fucking night now? Like when they're in UK shows, get them on at 10 o'clock. That's the fucking time to have the main event on a fucking weekend, like 11 o'clock ring walks and all. Fuck off with that shit. Like.
Remember when Ben Shalom first started, man? They were having the main event first on the show, like 8 p.m. So it was a clash with like anything like the Zone or whatever Frank had on at the time or whatever than that. But
he's probably I don't know.
He's washed now as well, mate.
Need to sack him off, man, boring bastard.
He's a bigger letdown than Gamboa, isn't he? His pendulum, we had high hopes for him, and it just fucking didn't pan out like frick anyway. Well, I don't know. I've been feeling the likes of Lawrence Okoli and fucking what's the other guy, Boazzi, are about to fucking become household names in Britain now under Ben Shalom's fucking guidance. So
what's happened to Sky Boxing though, Rob, man? Bean will be turning in his wheelie chair if it's all this. It's a disgrace.
It's like, I'll tell you what, Showtime was like the reminiscent HBO not that long ago, right, with how they finished up. That's who Sky is now. That's who fucking HBO went. Same as Sky.
Oh, it's pathetic. And it's consistently inconsistent. And one of the fucking main things to back that up is that Macklin is still there, man. He's still on the.
Can't get rid of him. He's bulletproof.
Literally bulletproof. How has he survived all the fucking sanction lists and nobody can fly to Royal? I'm keeping myself on Sky. Fuck's sake. I don't know. Great bunch of lads.
Aren't they all? A bunch of fantastic lads. Well, our lads will be In
For
Sheffield,
fuck's
it
sake, I'm only
sounds
after
like-
finding out now Beale got the sack. He just needed more time. What the fuck?
What?
Fucking that's after ruining me Sunday.
Beale!
Aye.
Run a Beale.
I finally got my good news this weekend, mate.
We nearly ended up with him, Andy. Be grateful.
Mate, you have no idea the fucking shitstorm news is just fucking.
Beale's on toast.
Beans on toast.
And in your laptop, Beale.
See the thing is, man, he stays locally to me in that area, and I know where he frequents, and I'm like, you bastard, you better get the fuck out of here by this end of this weekend, man. I'm telling you, get the fuck out of here. Thank God he's fucking gone, man.
Just needed a bit of time. I don't know what the fucking big fuss is.
Fucking gobshite.
Yeah. I think, Steve, thankfully, I think that might be all that I have this week.
That's okay, Matty. No problem at all. So we're on to the Belly of the
All
Week
right.
territory.
I
Happy
think
enough, yeah?
so. I think so, unless anybody had anything pertinent to say.
I don't think so.
You don't well have, to be fair, have we?
Wellington, man, he's fucking assassin. Brilliant.
Right, let's get on to Belly of the Week for episode 542. Steve's here, that's me. Andy's here, Rob's here, and Matty's here as well. A few videos to play us in. People are asking me for cuts all the time. The software that I have is just bollocks now. Can't cut anything, so there's a few I'm going to be missing out, unfortunately. We will touch upon them, though, including Frank Smith a little bit later on. But first of all, Brutalmente, Honesto, Canelo was told that Ted the Atlas was slagging him off.
Yes.
He's learnt a bit of English as old Canelo. Let's have a listen now.
Feel about Teddy Atlas saying that you are the most overrated Mexican fighter in history. He went on the rant. Teddy Atlas.
What does that mean?
He said you're the most overrated Mexican champion in history. He said that Salvador Sanchez.
Boxeador mexicano.
Más popular?
Pero sin causa. Sí.
Fucking crazy, that guy. and you think he knows boxing? Fuck.
I love Canelo when he talks in English, man. Fucking brilliant.
He's a savage, isn't he? But I clearly didn't know what the word overrated meant, so I needed to get it clarified. He's like, fucking crazy.
What is it with boxers that they just have fucking non-threatening voices? Like Canelo, if you heard him talking on the phone, imagine he rang you up and threatened you and you didn't know it was Canelo. Like, he's like, hey man, Viva Mexico, cabron. You'd be like, suck my dick, Canelo, get off the phone. You know what I mean? He'd tell him to light you up.
I tell you what though, he had Messi shit in his pants during the World Cup anyway. Fucking hell. Fucking Canelo must have been on the sauce that night, man. He's fucking abusing Messi.
He loves a drop, doesn't he, Canelo? He loves a drop of the juice.
Oh,
Yeah, I think he does, yeah.
He puts his labours these days, isn't he, mate?
Hasn't got that fucking red hair for nothing. There's fire in that blood, let me tell you.
Yeah, fire under that dress, all right.
Get the fuck out of here, man, okay? Yeah.
You want PD?
Oh, he loves the swearing, does old Canelo. Conor Ben, he's a good guy, you know. He's not a cheat. He says, later today, I'll be making a donation to the earthquake appeal. A lot of lives lost and many lives turned upside down. God bless the people of Morocco. A donation announcement on the people's hero.
20 quid.
Just do it. I hate it. Oh, I donated to this cause because it's a cause. Just fucking do it.
See, the more that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the first homeless bum in the street. I'm going to give him 10 quid and I'm going to post about it on Twitter, man. I make myself feel good because I'm a drugs cheat.
That's like Ryan Deal tweeting, oh, I just fucking gave the lads $4.99 super chat because they fucking made a good joke. You know what I mean? Fucking just do it.
We'll put that £5 super chat to a whole lot better use than most charities.
Yeah, exactly. We get about the same return, 3%. Quick washing. Brilliant.
They are. Andy will be giving 10 quid to Beale tomorrow.
Oh, fuck.
Stop it, Ben Russell. That's enough now.
Absolutely no chance.
Boxer size Beale.
Fucking
honestly,
Beale the bum.
If Andy had the choice, his choice, if you were going to give to a charity in his name, like give to the Scottish Independence Party, that would make.
Why would you want to get to them, mate? They would just
I know that you hate them. That's
blow on cocaine and fucking drink, mate.
And they might waste the rest of it.
Exactly.
Big Daddy Bunce has been weighing in on the old Channel 4 racism accusations. He says, "Are you joking? Did you do any research? Did you use the team? They looked into Brand's behaviour. Comedy," says Bunsen. And Vanderpool reacted. He says, thought Big Daddy Lickarse might delete this, and so it proved. Steve not really reading the room here, managing to offend BLM and me too in one fell
Did
swoop.
he delete it?
Wonder what the Beeb will make of his comments. Yeah. Well, the Beeb aren't going to make anything of his comments for me. Have you seen some of the comments we play every week? No one's bringing old Bunty down. He's Teflon. Oh, sure, it's up to him.
To be fair, nobody's paying us that kind of money.
They
have a lot more invested.
Bunty's Teflon. Jay doesn't know.
Jay can't. Japan. Apparently, Eddie now, Andy, is doing 3 shows in Japan. He was announcing during the week in association with DAZN. But on the small print, as Dominic Henry pointed out, it says all of the shows will be available live on DAZN, except Asia. So that'd be good for the Japanese audience.
Oh, mate, I don't know. Mate, Matty's had his issues with DAZN, as you know. Even me getting a copy on a fucking streaming that yesterday, mate. I'm watching the main event. Third round just cuts out on me, and like up comes a wee fucking bubble thing and saying, "Sorry, transmission has dropped. We'll get back to you as soon as possible." Fucking fight comes back up after like half a minute into the fucking 4th round. Ugas fights the same. You've got Donald McRae, esteemed boxing journalist, getting pissed off as well. Oh fucking hell, mate! What a shambles! There you go.
Honestly, that's the kind of non-violent colonialism that I can sink my teeth into.
Well, Donald McRae says 5:08 in the morning and DAZN lose the stream of Canelo Charlo after 2 rounds. Hopeless.
Fucking garbage, man.
But yeah, there you go. You can't get over to Japan, or there'll be no fights for you in Japan on DAZN.
Can you imagine the quality of the card that's going to be in Japan, man?
I don't want to think, to be honest. If we're getting Hopi Price and Kieran Conway here, who knows what they're going to be putting on? I don't know. They'll be dragging out all the old Japanese fighters, Andy. Eagle Kiowa and Katsunari Kawashima.
Aye. Fucking he'll pull on some of the Thai bums and that as well, you know.
Injin Chi will be getting bought out of retirement.
Aye, fucking hell. He's brain damage and that.
Yeah. They'll definitely be using Thai bums, that's for sure, Andy.
Probably even use a hand at Rung Wrong or something like that, just to fucking might even want to make it a wrestling event or something like that, a Rung Wrong fight.
I don't think Andy got my joke. That's a shame. Anyhow.
I know you. Oh, Ricky Gravel's jumped in. Manchester Nutter meet up next week.
Hey, another reminder. Yeah,
Watch
keep
out,
giving us
ladies.
money and we'll keep reminding people. No, like literally watch out, ladies. It'd probably be best to stay home.
Oh dear.
Except for Holly, she carries mace. No.
Yeah, she's going to need it. That's one less fiver in Ricky's pocket next week.
Poor gal.
The boys will be listening from now on instead of watching on YouTube, won't they?
Oh dear me. Well, what else have we got? Yeah, the Donald McRae done that one. Safe sport for Eddie. Eddie Hearn rules out dangerous Joe Joyce fight and tells him to retire. Eddie calling for retirement. He's looking after the fighters. He's doing his best. Clean sport.
Why does Joe Joyce look like Sloth from the Goonies? Hey, you guys.
Oh dear. I don't know if we touched upon this one last week, actually. Conor Bernard, Chris Algieri was being removed from the DAZN broadcast team. Was it fair that he got pulled off? If that was the case, this is the first time I'm hearing this. I wasn't aware. I believe in karma, and he obviously got what was coming to him.
Yeah. Let's just put it this way: in that someone, and they don't know who, but someone high up, and Algieri's fucking came out and said this actually as well. I think he's handled it professionally in that as well, hasn't he? Kind of like spat a dummy out over it and that, but he kind of expected it, and he knew, or he was approached. And he says, I think he said that the zone. He's not employed by Matchroom, so obviously someone's had a chat with the zone, and the zone have decided, look, listen, we're going to pull you for the broadcast and that. But apparently it's karma. What a maggot comment, man! For having an opinion like everybody else did, to say Conor Benn's a cheat, and that's somehow deserving that he gets fucking pulled for the card and that. Shouldn't even be fucking fighting in the first place. He's cleared,
Yep. It's karma, absolutely. Dominic Henry sent this one to me during the week. Dr. Joseph Ajayo, haven't heard much from him lately. He's now a THB, THM, DMIN, THD as well. He said, this is a serious warning to the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. Do not think you can do a toe-to-toe with Francis Ngannou. I saw it on the realm of the supernatural that he knocked you out.
Steve, you need to bin him off, man.
No, let him finish. This is great.
Floyd Mayweather, do not come out to face Terence. You will taste your first defeat after the Olympics. He says, sorry, I saw it in the realm, not on the realm. Technical error, Rob.
Listen, we're all about the realm here. Me, Dr. Joseph, fucking Anthony Crolla. You know what I mean? Let's get beyond the realm. What's going on here? What are the realms of possibility on another's meetup? There's a lot of realms to discuss. You know what I mean?
Andy, why would I have to sack the doctor off, man?
Fucking hell, man. He takes
Why
me
would
on
you
gibberish.
sack someone off? It's just fucking entertaining.
He's
This is
fucking
great.
Some funny if fucking Ngannou knocks out Fury after that, won't it? We all go to the shadow realm with Dr. Joseph to try and fucking find out answers.
Abby jab.
The thing was that there was a guy on Twitter, Joseph Coney, he was calling himself, and he was pretending for a while that he was like the doctor, that it was a fake account. And to be honest with you, see this nonsense that he comes off with. If I hadn't have been on a FaceTime call with the doctor and seen him in front of me, I would actually believe that this was a troll account, to be honest with you. So,
Dr. Joseph Ajeo, DMT.
TMT, THC.
DMT, CHC, for
CBD.
sure.
LSD.
CBD. Anthony Fowler.
Oh, dear.
OMG.
We love the doctor. Anyway, this is for Sam Watson for turning up. Here, the theme continues, Matty, turning up with the Keith Thurman t-shirt for the weigh-in.
Holy shit.
Giving the people what they want. More Keith Thurman. Fuck you, Andy. Fuck
A
you.
better chance of fucking showing up at a fucking on a fucking t-shirt somewhere than actually turning up for a fucking
Exactly.
weigh-in.
Exactly, man.
Fucker.
Hey,
the most inactive
Andy, no one's
waste.
putting your bald ass on a fucking t-shirt.
I
Keith
don't need to,
Thurman
mate.
is
I
on
don't
a
need to.
t-shirt.
I've got people turn up to listen to me on a podcast weekly, man, and then fucking dropping super chats off.
Yeah, we're international superstars.
Exactly. What's
See-
Keith Thurman, man? He's fucking running for Boots Ennis. That's what he's doing.
He is the epitome of everything. Him and Danny Garcia, two of them. I hold the two of them. They were the epitome of everything that fucking went wrong after Al Haymon started paying these guys monster fucking purses because they were once young, hungry, very good, exciting prospects, and they turned into shit shows after fucking they went down the big money. Like, so they fucking Thurman, man. I swear to God, he's just he was a great talker. He used to fucking get on those fight hype clips back in the day, and he'd be telling you how he was going to defuse the Mayweather blueprint and what he was going to do to Manny and all. Then he got the fucking shot against Manny. Shit the fucking bed. Shit the bed.
Exactly.
Hey,
that's what I was saying to you. That's what I was saying to you before. Just what Rob was saying there as well. Spoke a good game like Michael Beale and shot the bed when it fucking mattered.
That was a fucking close fight. But anyways, he's got a lot going for him, man. You know, did you know that in a picture of me, him, and Donnie, that he is the second best dressed guy in that picture? That's
and the
really
one I
something to
hate the
say.
least.
Oh dear, we love a bit of Keith Thurman.
I love that
Well,
Mark
that's-
Stanton comment. T-shirt is closer to the ring than fucking Thurman.
IFL TV, Eubank Junior versus Ben, Fury versus Usyk, both touted to be on December the 23rd. Which one will you be watching? So there you are, you have to make a choice.
Oh, it's a difficult one. Like, you know,
Make a choice between the two. Andy, bad news
Yes.
for you, I'm afraid. I hate to
up?
bring this to you on a Sunday evening, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to break it. Anthony Joshua's proposed heavyweight bout with Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia in January is
again?
off. Promoter Eddie
Again?
Hearn says the fight could still happen. All hope's not lost
oh,
at a different
bollocks.
location. Sorry.
This will be the Eddie Hearn comment that I seen during the week when he says, I think he asked a question about a contract or whatever, and he says, we've got an offer from Saudi, but no contract. Fucking hell, man. Has there ever been anybody that just cannot get one of these generational fights over the fucking line, man? Time and again, he fucking fails to deliver. And Uncle Frank's at the back making big dog moves, and he's got his feet up like fucking. He's got the cat has got the cream, and he's puffing on a big Cuban cigar, and Eddie's fucking raging. Well, did you catch Eddie's comment today? Actually, if the fight happens, it's like, oh, good luck to the guys, not, you know, well done, Frank, for making the fight happen, and blah de fucking blah. No, it's back to being the snidey Eddie.
If it happens, yeah.
If it happens, we'll wait and see if the money gets put up. Like, you know, like for example, when the Wilder offer came in to make the 50 million, we need to see proof of funds, for example. All that snidey shit that you said in the past, fucking get it up. You and your wee fucking fat pal Frank Smith as well, you fucking prick.
It's body shaming again, which I hate, obviously.
I hope. Here's something by the way, Eddie. I know you're listening, mate, but do me a favour. I loved it when you fucking used to batter fucking Frank Smith around about your office with the gloves on. Mate. Go do it again. Sick to death of these bastards, man.
Yeah, someone put on the comments below that Obama was still president when Eddie first said Wilder is next.
Fucking George W. Bush was in charge, was he not?
HW.
Saddam Hussein was still alive, man.
It's true though. Like he's been, because I've been on the pod 5 years. Like I'm just around the time I started coming on the pod, Eddie was that whole fucking Shirley Winkle saga was beginning. That's fucking 5 years ago. He's been promising a Deontay Wilder fight. Fucker. Anyway, it's probably best for Anthony Joshua anyway that this fight doesn't happen. Let's be serious. Like, fucking, what's he going to be like after Wilder gets him? Like, he's bad enough as it is now. Like, what the fuck is he going to be like after this? Like,
so the thing is,
still, let's see it.
Fight now, though, man. If he doesn't get that fight, he's on the plums, mate. He's fucking.
But can they get Wilder somebody to knock over like in 30 seconds while this is all fucking waiting to play out, please? Like
Frank Sanchez potentially. I mean,
anybody. Just fucking get him somebody to fucking blat. What about Zilly Zhang versus fucking Deontay Wilder?
I'd watch that.
They want to make that risk go. That's high risk, fucking potential low reward. You know.
It is. Well, talking of AJ, he's been keeping himself busy training with Ben Davison. He's been ticking over at the Ben Davison Performance Centre.
Oh.
There could be a vacancy there for a lad fucking recently fucking relieved of his duties to go in there alongside Boxer Size Ben. Fucking fit perfectly into that gym. Oh my God.
Hey, Wellington's GOAT, what do you think of this news?
Look at him with the headband. Look at him.
Oh, that was the Mexican. That's when he was with Devin Haney, was it?
Oh dear. Yep, that's it.
Exit strategies and fucking imagine trying to get out of that fucking place. The exits all over the place. You wouldn't know where you are. It's like
the thing is, though, the main part of that tweet, the Ben Davison Performance Centre. Come on.
That's like that. You can't just say like I have a gym. You know what I mean? Come on down to the fucking boxing gym. No, Performance Centre.
Ricky Burns opened up a gym at the weekend. They called it Mighty Rick's. Yeah, that used a wee bit of fucking nous, a wee bit fucking intelligence out of the man. Ben fucking Davison Performance Centre. Fucking hell.
Performance Centre. What are you doing? Interpretive dance when you get down there and all that? Fucking hell.
That's where champions are made, Rob. Unrivaled analysis going on there.
Exactly. Matt Butters just kind of call it a gym or anything like that. Yeah. High Street Gym. No, I'm going to Ben Davison Performance Centre.
I'm going to start calling my house the Marijuana Institute.
It's like the fucking your man in fucking dodgeball with fucking. You know him. Anyway, forget it. The moment's gone.
That's a little broad. I know the movie well, but that's a little broad.
The fucker that had the gym, it was like a fucking high level gym.
Globo Gym.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Global Gym Performance Centre. Anyway, onwards to data wise.
Chuckways just turned up, Rob.
See that Ben
That was a bold move, Rob. I hope it works out for you.
That Ben Stiller's an unfunny bastard. I hate him every time he's in that. Him and that Owen Wilson. Wankers.
Like Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller.
Used to be the MTK Performance Centre, says Johnny. They are
rebranding. Of course it would be. Of course.
Grand opening, grand closing.
And reopening under different management.
Yeah. BLK Prime Centre. What was the other one? They had the Kinahans. It's not the Kinahans.
Marv Nation.
Disrupt Boxing. What was the one in Bayran called?
MTK. Then Pro Bellum, was it? That was the fucking
boxing, yeah.
Chaos
in and out like a robbery. Pro Bellum, wasn't it? Fucking hell.
Next, we're gonna have Antebellum.
People on Disrupt Boxing contracts, like I've never even signed. I never even heard of them. How did I end up on a contract with them?
Aye, fucking Charlo.
All of them anyway.
Charlo love getting pulled for cards and that, mate, because he's got contracts tied up elsewhere.
Yep. Dana White's been kicking off. He said, that's exactly the type of response I would expect from that weasel Espinoza. That scumbag has absolutely nothing to do with the success of Canelo, Garcia, Crawford. Those guys are megastars, and they're the ones responsible for driving the gates in their fights. For him to even try and take any credit at all shows you exactly what an arrogant, delusional piece of shit that guy is. For this clown to talk about levels is hilarious. The production of the fights on Showtime is an embarrassment, and I've been saying that forever. He's a little guy with a big yap, and he's a complete phony. I'm not at all surprised that is the end for them. It should have come way sooner. Sorry to see you go, Weasel. Enjoy your retirement.
Jesus, fuck.
I kind of love that about Dana White, that he rants like that as a company owner. You know, that way I kind of fucking love that about him. Like.
I mean, Dana, can I get your honest opinion, please? No fucking problem. I'll give it to you right now.
But from my liking, far too many people have publicly called Stephen Espinosa a weasel at this stage. There has to be something more to it. Like.
That's fucking. Dude, I mean, Jesus Christ, Dana White in all of this glory and his baldness. I mean, he's basically like Andy with marketable skills.
Well, what I would say at this point is to all boxing fans, enjoy it while it's here, because the death of HBO has left a fucking grim landscape, and the death of Showtime.
But the thing is, Rob, that's Al Heyman who burnt money, and HBO, Showtime, and Fox have all pulled out of boxing now, man. So he's a common denominator here.
They need to get Ben Shalom over to the States to sort this shit out.
Exactly, mate. He'll fucking save some money.
Eddie saw it in the future. If you're not on DAZN, there's just not going to be any fights for you.
Certainly soon. If you're looking at boxing, you're not going to be watching any fights on TV. That's for fucking certain.
What are we going to do on a Sunday night? Talk about VPN fights.
Retire. I tell you, mate, we should just keep dancing until Eddie Hearn chucks it, and then we can say we fucking laughed.
Finally say we won.
We won. Resistance won. Fucking maggot.
Might have our Sunday nights back. Who knows?
Exactly.
Anyway,
what would that be like?
I know. Could you imagine?
Would they need to talk to anybody again in the rest of my life, mate?
You took over. Yeah, never had a Sunday night for the last fucking 6 years. Mrs. goes mad at you every time you come on. Real Machiavellian fucking plotsters, like. Anyway.
Take it. Come on, fucking take it back. Come on.
Terence Crawford is not too impressed by Charlo last night. Okay, y'all, I'm over with Twin Charlo. He's no longer on my hit list. He went out there and laid down and let Canelo spank him like he was his daddy. With no type of resistance.
Woo!
Terence Bud Crawford, man. Cooking at the moment, is he?
What are you going to do about it, Charlo? Nothing.
When he
did nothing last night.
Glorious when he said that to him. Something I think you're next when after he fucking drops Spence. What a fucking badass, man. Brilliant. Good for Bud. Bud is trying to get himself into those Canelo sweepstakes. He's going around with very floral shirts. He's telling everyone he's lifting weights and he's walking around at 180. So look at fucking, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't like it, like, but fucking I hope he gets his big pot of money before he retires, because he's the best in the world. Anyway.
100%. Talking to the best in the world, Matt Butters sent this to me. I'm not sure what the context is, but I said I would put it up anyway.
Fuck off, man.
Is that the Gad if he was a character in heavy metal?
I don't know what's going on.
It looks like a Pink Floyd cover, actually.
Where is Matt? Matt, where are you? He told me, he tagged me in on this, and I quickly grabbed it without looking at the context.
That's definitely a painting on the wall in his house, isn't it? Like the guy.
That's painted in his toilet.
This is my spread love, not hate campaign. It's all about spreading love and not hate.
All in all, you're just another man from all schools.
It is a bit harsh. Des Boxing was kicking off about Tyson Fury this week. He says, I just had enough of him, to be honest. And then he put up this video. I can't see why Des has had enough of him. Actually, here, let's find out.
Cool. Hi guys, Tyson Fury here. Got even more amazing news for you guys. We have sold out of protein bars. They are all gone. Every single bar went in the first day. To get your next lot, sign up to the emails to be in for a chance. Boom! I take it your stock, but they're all gone. You can't even get any. Get up!
Well, that's a fucking lie for a start. There's a fucking warehouse full of those fucking bastards somewhere.
So Big John is traded in the Chinese food for protein bars. Right?
Fiber.
The best thing about that video was the guy at the beginning, wasn't it? Like, go. Protein bars. It didn't even
seemed very enthusiastic and genuine about the fucking those protein bars. Anyway, you looked really excited about it.
It was fucking kind of reminiscent of CM Punk wanting ice cream bars back at the WWE, wasn't it?
I don't know. You into the wrestling, Andy?
Nah, not really, mate.
The old WWF days.
Yeah, that was different. That were different days, mate.
Yeah, they was good times back then.
When you had the promos where the wrestlers like fucking out there nutting coke and that, man, just doing these mad fucking promos, you can just fucking eyes popping. Neighbour days, mate.
Your man running around with the snake and all.
Jake, this is going to say Jake the Snake getting these snake to fucking
Jake
bite somebody in the arm, and that. Remember that? Eh?
Jake the Snake cut the best promos.
He was a bit dark, that guy. Like,
yeah, I think it was before. Maybe it was a match with the Undertaker that he had some absolutely fucking killer ones. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Those were the good old days.
Oh yeah, look at the picture. The lads in the chat have noticed the gad's got a lazy eye. What's going on? Who drew that?
Devin
Farmer.
Devin Farmer won by knockout yesterday, by the way.
Oh, that was some knockout too, wasn't it?
Oh, it was like Steve. He needs to get on the fucking council specs, mate, with the wee eye patch that is straighten that eye out a bit there. You know what I'm saying?
NHS glasses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, those are the days. A couple more for you, starting with Anthony Yard, getting the banter down on Sky.
I want to fight in December, and then the big fights next year, Anthony Yard, and then versus Joshua Buatsi. I feel like it needs to happen. Hopefully he can get the victory, so it's a bigger fight. Or even Dan Aziz. Even though I know Dan Aziz is my boy, but again, business is business.
Oh my God, man, Joshua Buatsi. Oh.
It's all getting nasty in the studio.
Oh, mate, the thought of that is... I'm breathless with anticipation for that fight. Like, oh my God.
Cutting a promo now, Andy. Get on it.
I get on it, mate. Fuck it. I used to get on the cocaine then to cut it then properly then, mate. Yeah, dig it.
Thomas Newman says the guy is still staring at me. Please change to something more appealing.
Jimmy Savile or something like that.
I'm going to leave that up just to annoy him now. Oh, no, I'm not actually. I'll put up a better one for you. Here we go. Here he is.
Oh, here he is.
Beware. It's none of your business, Andy. Everyone has seen this, I'm sure, by now. He had an absolute mare, didn't he, man?
It's
none of your business, right? Unless you're buying pay-per-views or subscribing to the Zone. That's the only time we want to hear from you, okay? Is when you're spending money. Apart from that, it's none of your business. We'll do the big boy stuff. You go off and build and work and stuff while we do that. It was a terrible look.
I tell you what, man, right? I see my piece earlier on there, but you could actually tell when he was talking, you could see it in his eyes, man. He's like, I need to try and talk my way out, into an ending here. I need to end this fucking thing because he just didn't know how to fucking handle it, mate. He just went off. And
the thing about him is that
it must have sounded so much better in his head, mate, before he started speaking.
Eddie's a snide, but at least sometimes he has a bit of weight and he can he has a bit of pizzazz to pull off some of the shit that he's saying. But this guy has the fucking charisma. I don't know. I don't even know what to start on. He just has fucking zero charisma. Like he's just a fucking bland kind of a wet wipe, isn't he? Like that's a nice description.
I think Frank Warren done him in properly there during his seconds out interview, possibly. Maybe it was IFL. And
he called him a fatso, didn't he?
He called him a fatso, but the thing is, he says they don't say something along the lines. You say something along the lines of saying it's like, is Chris Eubank Jr. know Frank Smith's brother-in-law? And he didn't even tell him about the failed drugs test. Ooh, Frank lobbing grenades at them this week. And then he pulls the big Frank. Sucking. He's just a prick, mate. Simon Jordan had him right. Now he's just a fucking T-boy, isn't he?
Frank the T-boy.
You just know Eddie had him in a fucking matchroom HQ, had him fucking battered over at a fucking boardroom table and that, smashing fucking. Yeah. We need to find the video of that again. No, mate, have you not seen the videos? Matty.
The videos of him getting ploughed on the table?
It's in the boardroom, Eddie's like
to get at it.
Don't fuck out him with boxing gloves on, mate. Swear to God. That's what you need to do him again. Shut them a fuck up. Or sack him or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing good stuff, is Frank. Anyway, those are all the ones that I've got. Andy, anything from you that you haven't already thrown in?
Bellew saying that Jordan Thompson will learn from it and he'll come back stronger.
He didn't say he showed he's belonged at that level, did he? He didn't get that far.
Tough one for Jordan boxing last night, but he rolled the dice and went in against the best 200-pounder in the world. He will be back, I have no doubt. He has an unbelievable amount of mental resilience, and last night's experience will see him grow and learn. His time will come. And obviously the judges in the Otto Wallen fight, including the ones that gave the fucking cards to Otto Wallen and Eddie Hearn for saying that they had an offer from Saudi Arabia for Wilder against Joshua, but no contract. And then on Uncle Frank turns round and just drops a dime. And the one for Derek James and that as well, mate. I mean, another victim of Trainer of the Year, and he's had 2 massive L's this year. So,
Well, 3 if you include Frank Martin, I suppose. I know he
Frank,
won,
Derek, that as well. So, yep. One for Derek James as well, mate.
Good stuff. Rob, anything from you, please?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
50-0. He's a hell of a fighter. You're a hell of a fighter. I made smart investments. He had a TMT fighter turning pro on the undercard last night.
Mooton, was it? Yeah.
Oh, that young kid, 19 or something like that.
Kamel Mooton.
Yeah, odd name. Oscar Calvaponder, Carmel Testosterone. Something fucking weird name anyway. So the kid's making his debut, makes an impressive stoppage. Everybody want to talk about the kid. Floyd turns up at the fucking press conference and has some plant in the audience he said, who beat the most world champions? The man's like, you did. In the quickest time? You did. And was the most accurate fighter of all time? You did. And got hit the least and made the most money? You did. So what you're saying is, you're the greatest of all time. Exactly. Fucking hell, man.
He pushed the guy.
Just let the fucking fight. I don't even know what the kid looks like because the whole fucking boxing world clipped that clip today. Like, that fucker. There's no way somebody said that wasn't a plant. There's absolutely fucking no way somebody sat in the audience and asked that question.
He's so insecure, isn't he? Like,
oh my God, let it go, man. Jesus Christ, let the kid fight. This is the same as Tank
did it with
Davis all over again.
Exactly. He did it with Tank Davis, remember that? You remember, Steve, we were talking about I bet she was just like fucking Tank talk, man, because every time he spoke, he came across quite interesting. But you go fucking Floyd in the background like a fucking parrot. Oh,
remember when he had
I'm a better fighter.
A money team fighter and they got a draw or something and he got in the ring, got the microphone afterwards and started saying there was an agenda against Floyd Mayweather and all this shit. Like, he's a fucking nutcase, like, and he's a real asshole as well. Did you ever see that fucking TikTok or Instagram clip of him where he's like sparring the YouTube fighter, the Misfits fighter, like sparring one of these Misfits fighters in the Mayweather, and he's absolutely beating the living shit out of him and humiliating him at the same time, laughing at him and going, ha ha, no.
Oh, I think I did see that actually.
Looking away, smacking him in the head and all, and going,
That's awesome.
he's a prick, man.
Yes.
What a fucking asshole. No wonder he has no friends.
Apart from ones he pays for.
Exactly. This is a lonely existence. Like, one of the greatest of all time. But what a fucking
you need to watch James Toney against Danny Green, by the way. Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking dog.
So that's proper spot. Like, that's like Messi fucking going fucking nutmegging a fucking Make-A-Wish kid or something. Like, you know what I mean? It's like fucking Jesus Christ. Like, where do you fucking draw the line?
Oh, good stuff. Thank you, Rob. Nothing from Oz this week. Matty, anything from you?
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the judges for the Luben Ramos fight. That was pretty fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then the Austin Trout interviewed with his shirt off. Obviously, that fucking idiot. I love the guy, but who does that? Anyhow, yeah, that's what I got.
There he is. There's Austin. Enjoying life. Let's go through them then quickly, and we shall make our picks. So we start off with Austin. We had Frank going in on the Builders. We had the guard spreading love, not hate, watching the Phoenix with his good eye. We had Crawford going in on Charlo. We had Dana White. Might be a spoof, this one, going in on Espinoza, but we'll take it for real anyway for the lols. The Ben Davison Performance Academy. We had Eddie. Unfortunately, the fight between Wilder and Joshua was off. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. We also... There was another one from Eddie. I forgot to cut it, actually, regarding Eubank. He was saying something like, you know, people are going to have to make a choice on December the 23rd. They're both massive fights. One of us is maybe going to have to move the fight. It might be us, it might be them. I can't remember, something like that.
Where the fuck's that fight going to be happening, by the way? Because it's not happening in the UK. He's got fucking some front in this fucker, eh? Front and Brighton, man. Jesus, fuck.
We got Sam Watson getting nominated for that one as well. We had the Doctor going off into his astral realms. We had Ben versus Algieri. Eddie looking after fighter safety. DAZN getting iced as well. Japan with the 3 fights, apart from if you're in Japan, you can't watch them. Big Daddy Bunce and also Conor Benn announcing to everybody that he's making a donation because he's a good guy, you know, he's a good guy. Canelo going in on Teddy Atlas as well. Anthony Yard cutting his promo and Fury with his bullshit protein bars, which is going to end up in Poundland in a few weeks.
wonder if we'll get Eddie coming out. I wonder if we'll get Eddie coming out tomorrow. By was saying, I've just been off the phone, Cougs to Nigerian Prince Joshua Wilder in Nigeria, mate, in Lagos. It's happening. 2027. It's coming. It's coming.
He got an email. He got an email coming through.
Aye, but the problem is Eddie's going to pay him 300,000 first. You know.
Your late relative.
My
Send
dear
a Steve O'Hearn.
My dear relative, I'm stranded here. Can you send me some?
I'm stranded here. There's no fights for me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Here you go for Andy.
I'm going to go with Canelo, mate. He fucking slayed it. As I said, I feel like I'm picking on Eddie every week, man, but I'll go with Canelo.
Canelo for here. Mark Stanton says, I'll be in Eddie's garden when he gets it established as another country.
Where's he going to apply for?
Eternia.
He's going to apply for a fucking, like, I don't know what they call it, an embassy license or something. Yeah.
A micronation. Oh, that's a good one. That is.
There's a lot of micro going on there.
Okay, Canelo for Andy. What about you, Matty?
Oh, I think I got to go for the good doctor and his fucking ayahuasca-inspired rant.
Okay, one for the doctor. Rob, who are you going for this week?
Floyd Money Mayweather.
Okay, it's going to be a four-way tie. I'm going for Frank Smith and his attack on the Builders then. So one for Frank, one for Money Mayweather, one for the Dr. Joseph, and one for Canelo as well. Congratulations. The quartet of Bellew of the Week winners.
That's at Mount Rushmore there.
Steve, have you seen 8
Edstein's Island?
Edstein's Island.
That's rough.
Fucking savages.
A 4-way draw. I mean, that's kind of like a couple swap where nobody comes.
Jesus.
Oh, man. Congratulations, you lot, for the Bellew of the Week episode winners, episode 542. Just before we get out of here, there were a couple of super chats. Let me just quickly shout them out. Matt Butters has thrown in a $5. Thank you to him. Richard Graville, MTK Enforcer, has thrown in a $5 as well. And shout out to Chappie, who joined us over at patreon.com/Boxing Asylum this weekend. And just quickly, Matty, before I pass over to you as well, I don't know if we're going to mention this, but RIP to the Colonel, Bob Sheridan. I should have pulled out the clip, shouldn't I? Well, could have pulled out many clips of the Colonel, to be honest, off the old drive. But he was a character involved in a lot of big fights, and obviously it's sad to see the Colonel pass from this realm onto the next.
That Polly Mallet I just seen, we'll never forget.
Yeah, I should have got that one, shouldn't I?
What age was the Colonel?
79, I think.
Not to complain about then. Like, is this?
He had a good innings, didn't he? To be fair,
it's what you want, or is it?
It's conspiracy, Rob. Those bikers got the last laugh. Anyhow,
79 cut down his prime.
He had so much more to give. Anyhow, I'd like to thank Steve, Andy, and Rob for hopping on with us today. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat who wandered through, and everybody in the Nutters group. Remember, we have a new season of the Boxing Nutters Prediction League starting up, I believe this week or the next. So if you join up with the Patreon, get in the Nutters Messenger group, you can get in on that action. If you
who won? Sorry, Matty, do we know who won the?
I haven't checked.
Damo wasn't Damo was doing well, wasn't he?
I think it might have been Damo.
Captain Casual.
Yeah, I think he had a perfect week, so I think he very well might have done it. So
we'll get Joe can confirm that for us.
Yeah, well, congratulations to whoever that person was. Rob, he just won't show up. He's afraid of getting beaten into oblivion by these boxing gurus.
I'm holding out for the Saudi buddy. I'm holding the division up.
You might be waiting for a long time there, homie. Anyhow,
might happen soon at a different venue.
Rob's going to join the Fight Disciples League. That's where the money is.
Anyhow. There's another league I could lose money in. Oh boy. Anyhow, again, thanks to everybody for joining us today in the
Joe Wu with the last comment of the night. Oh man, Bob Sheridan, he's fucking always late to the party. Look at him.
Are we ever gonna? Can we get out of here? Anyway, thank you to everybody, and we will see you fine folks next week.
We'll never forget.
Golly, that's good on me.
Go to Adam move!
we want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't it? 7 year ain't it? I won't fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, simple as that.